drowning in the argument. The anti-white says, what exactly is anti-white? You have got to be animated with the righteous passion of reclaiming our destiny. We are the heroes of this era. All right, so we had a little brown out. Let me know that you can hear me okay, and we'll continue to roll here today. Go ahead and let people know, if you haven't already, that I lost everything that was prepared, regrettably. So it's going to be a little clunky today. Nothing can be done for it. But we were right at the point. We were talking about how the content creators who are anti-non-white drive white people who are upset about the world and what's happening to the white race. They drive them to do things that legitimize and concretize the anti-white narrative, making it harder on us, infinitely harder. Thank you, Rapunzel. Making it infinitely harder on us to advocate for white well-being. And so that's one of the first things that we can talk about with this article about the burning of a synagogue in Mississippi. First thing, if it ends up being a white person, which I'm kind of suspicious, given that we haven't seen a name and they have somebody arrested, and we have obvious charges of, I'm sure if it were a basic bitch white guy, there would be arson, terrorism, and everything else. And then it would all be magnified with hate crime charges and all of this sort of nonsense. And that only gets applied to us. But not having that happen. But this does happen as a consequence of anti-white or anti-non-white content creators. And so that's one of the first things we have to look into this or mention. The second thing we have to mention here is that white people do not go out and harm white people like this, as we sometimes see with blacks, as we sometimes see with Jewish people. And why is that? What's the reason? Hold on, I'm still fixing these things. After we had brownout, everything was lost. What's the reason for that? Anybody know? It says it's working. Okay, so very good. Give the stream a like. And let's see. Well, did it start a new stream on YouTube? Huh. The reason for, am I on a new stream right now? Or am I on the same stream? What a cluster. I guess it is a new stream. I guess it does appear to be a new stream. Let me know if it is a brand new stream or if it is... Oh, no, it's not. Maybe it is. All right. It is a new stream. YouTube. The stream signal was still being sent. Give it a like. Give it a like. So, and then share it again, because it's going to be under a new URL. I appreciate that. Unfortunately. So the reason why white people don't go around burning down our own things, as we sometimes see, or attacking white people in false flag operations, is because we don't have a people. There is going to be no group response. This is all the evidence you need of a couple of things. A, that white people don't have a people. We're selfish individualists. We have countries and we have ethnicities. We don't have a people. A people is defined as individual well-being by way of group well-being. So we don't have a people. Number two, there is no communal response for the well-being of our people, since there isn't a people. The fact that Black people can do this, and occasionally, and Asian people can do this occasionally, and Hispanic people can do this occasionally, and Jewish people can do this occasionally, indicates that they have a people. So this is one of the most powerful hidden realities of false flag acts like this. And this, if it ends up being the case here in Mississippi, this is one of the most powerful hidden kernels that most people are incapable, utterly incapable of seeing. They have no idea whatsoever what's going on. No idea why it works to the benefit of Black people to attack their own churches, to attack their own communities under the false banner of some white villain. No idea why it benefits Jewish people. For some Jews occasionally to attack Jewish people or to attack, do you remember in Pennsylvania when that Jewish cemetery had headstones toppled and broken and everything, and then ended up being Jewish people responsible for that? They have no idea how that ends up being powerful for these people. It ends up being a stimulus to the actions of a people united on the basis of individual well-being by way of group well-being, without which there's nothing, there's no power, there's no hope. So for the white race, another aspect of this is, of course, that you have a communal response. The reason why you have state and federal and politicians come out and they are all upset and the investigation is in high gear immediately and they've already captured the person and everything is being figured out is because of communal strength. It's not because the system, which I've heard so many times from these absolutely vegetative state white people who are really anti-non-white, the system just favors Jews. The Jews have convinced the system, as you anthropomorphize governance, as you anthropomorphize institutions, these imbeciles, they've convinced these systems that they're special. And so then the system does this for them. And then what's the response from these vegetative losers? It's not fair. It's not fair that they get this kind of treatment. And golly, we don't get that kind of a treatment. That's not how it works. Your great grandfather made that argument and got nowhere with it. So don't ever overlook instances like this and think, oh, well, it's just going to be the superficiality of it. Was it a white villain, somebody who was trained up moronically to hate non-whites and to go out and do something like this as if it's going to weaken communal strength? Absurd. This is completely absurd. Versus, well, did a Jew do it himself? And then that's all there is to the story. That's all you're going to find. The only interpretation of this, first of all, in anti-non-white circles, they're not really going to be talking about it. If they're really villainous types of miscreants, if they really are hardcore miscreants, they will, of course, celebrate that this was done because somehow this is going to weaken Jewish power. Somehow you're getting back at them. But if they're not celebrating that, then the only other angle to this for the anti-non-white community is that Jews did it themselves, and they're going to just move right along. That's going to be the end of the conversation for them. But we here in Service to White Wellbeing can look deeper. We here can see the reality of it, that there's far more to this. There's far more to the machinery of power and results and consequences. There's far more to the psychological element of it. It's really a way to peer into the body of the missing identity in the white race. White people don't do this to ourselves. Not because we're messed up, as I've heard some of these anti-non-white fools say. Not because of that. We're not messed up. The non-whites are all messed up. No, it's because there'll be no communal response. Burn down all the white churches you want, and there'll be no communal response. And then what do these losers do? They complain, just like they did up there in Colombia, that the Jews don't show up to fight against the persecution and discrimination against white people. That's what they'll do. Where are these Jews? Why aren't they showing up to defend our churches? It makes me want to throw these people out of the white race. Nothing good to our people or for our people by having folks like this in our midst. Why don't we go ahead and jump into the quick news, try to get this up and running again. We'll start with the news of the Civil War that we will speed through, I think. Let's see. Is any of this still working? I don't know. I hope so. We can get it back, ladies and gentlemen. And we begin with the ongoing Civil War in the United States. ICE vehicle got torched in Pennsylvania by anti-white terrorists, as you can see here. If you listen closely, this protester in Minneapolis tells the ICE agent arriving for work that they're going to use the federal database of immigration agents to harm these people when Trump leaves office. Guess Trump's never going to be allowed to leave office. By the way, I don't know if you notice here, there's a photographer. This person has to type in a code probably for this parking lot. And this photographer with that telescoping lens is probably getting the digits for whatever they're typing in. Rioters have surrounded police in Minneapolis and are blocking them from moving. Look at this in front of the police cars. Rioters, in other words, anti-white terrorists. Thousands of anti-whites chant, "Kristi Noem will hang," in the middle of New York City. Quote, "Save a life, kill ICE," the anti-white terrorists are chanting. Reuters in Minneapolis, anti-whites, not reported by Reuters, anti-whites in Minneapolis just chased the Minneapolis Police Department out of the city. This is the police department fleeing. Minneapolis police surrender to anti-ICE, anti-white terrorists after officers are attacked in their own city. No-go zone has been put up in Minneapolis. They build a wall here saying that vehicles can't come this way, which is the conservatives are like, yeah, they don't like walls on the border, but they build walls on here, and they got double standards. No, dipshit. Both outcomes are for anti-white, or both acts are for anti-white outcomes. There's no hypocrisy whatsoever. In Minneapolis, anti-white terrorists are going from hotel to hotel, damaging, destroying the hotels, trying to break in as they look for ICE agents. This is serious. Anti-white terrorists are destroying another hotel in Minneapolis. Here they are spray painting, destroying. Here's another hotel being attacked in Minneapolis by anti-white terrorists, banging on the windows. They did get into some of these hotels. They're chanting F ICE, demanding that the hotels turn over the ICE agents. Anti-white terrorists have breached yet another hotel here in downtown Minneapolis. So here they are breaking their way into another hotel. And remember, the police have been run off by the anti-white terrorists. Anti-whites on X urging their comrades to show up and kill Department of Homeland Security agents. I don't know if you can see this here. This is an anti-white with a firearm on a tripod in the back of a vehicle. And this is probably what looks like a translucent sheet, is probably one of those hunting blinds that look like camouflage and you can't see through them from the other side. But from this side, it's see-through. So if a police officer or DHS or ICE walks up, they won't be able to see this rifle trained on their chest. Police and anti-white terrorists clash outside ICE facility in Portland after Border Patrol shoot Trinity Aragua. Here you had the Border Patrol commander, Bavino, was assaulted by an anti-white terrorist out on the streets, female. Here you have this chief sheriff, Philadelphia Sheriff's Office, says that ICE is fake. We're going to be covering this story. Law enforcement agency, and threatens to arrest the federal agents. There's so much that is dangerous and wrong and anti-white about this. We'll be getting into it. Here you have more of these anti-whites disrupting the ICE. They're not able to travel as a consequence. Here's for a little bit of feel-good material. So this pig, anti-white pig, sits on the ground. She's going to prevent the cars from driving. And then her boyfriend, husband, some other anti-white male tries to run over to save her with his face. And then he gets mad. Now this guy goes, she won't stand up. This guy picks her up. She pushes him back, and then he shoves her against the vehicle. But she's like, don't touch me. There you go, fat bitch. Fat anti-white bitch. Then we have this. Somali mob just rushed ICE agents in St. Cloud. These guys are way outnumbered, and they had to retreat. One guy's got his hand on his gun. I'd have mine out, and I'd be emptying magazines.
He is
Give it up for Stoppa Anti-Whiteism.
known as the true Westman because of his incredible intellect, and he mogs all 8 billion people on Earth.
The anti-white black supremacist Joy Reid was on the news today.
When will anti-whites be held accountable?
All left-leaning political views, all wokeism is rooted in anti-whiteism.
And it's anti-whiteism derived from white guilt.
But don't fucking tell me that there isn't an anti-white narrative going on in society, because there is, and there has been since the day I was fucking born.
What I would say is that's anti-whiteism. The same way you got Islamophobia or racism, that's anti-whiteism.
This is the essence of anti-white hatred, and that's what it is. And we're going to stop using the word racist.
White people are finally waking up and not afraid to call out anti-whiteism.
You should reframe it so that they're being accused of anti-whiteism, and they're the villain. Exactly.
Well, you probably buy into the whole white erasure.
Yeah, but also Minnesota Catholic school shooting, left wing, the anti-white Charlotte and North Carolina stabbing.
I actually watched racism. It's still racist. And guess who's...
I don't like that line. It's called anti-whiteism.
totally awesome. Give it up for Stop Anti-Vitism. That was so epic. We are taking over the world.
Are officially the leaders of the world's global order again, and nobody's doing a thing about it. Let me break it down. Last year, the US casually fly into Iran after the Iranian government spent years and billions of dollars building a nuclear site and enriching uranium, and the US completely obliterate it to dust, and nobody does a thing about it. Last week, Trump seamlessly flies the US forces into Venezuela, removes Maduro from power, puts him in a New York prison cell, and takes over the country, and nobody does a thing about it. Yesterday, the US sees a massive oil tanker ship carrying a Russian flag, and nobody does a thing about it. Not even Russia. And now Trump doubles down on Greenland. He wants it, and everybody's scrambling without a clue of what to do. I don't love everything about Trump, but love him or hate him, the United States are officially back on top, and all global leaders know it. The United States are officially the...
A security guard that was protecting Maduro has spoken, and you got to hear what he said.
This is really fascinating. You know, we have never been able, for many generations, the white race has not been in a position to take on the federal government. Many generations. And when I came into this, it was the most absurd thing that I ever heard, people talking about violently resisting the federal government. Easily, I would say, even as a child, they would kill you all. I want you now to listen. From now on, I'm not even going to engage these violent, dim-witted tards. I'm not going to listen to the conversations of children. I don't care how old these people are. The United States went into Venezuela, and listen to what this guy is reporting about one of the security guards on what they faced.
It's in Spanish, but I'll translate. Also, Trump announced that, the cartels, they're going after him in Mexico. The whole vibe of Latin America has changed because of what happened in Venezuela. And now that we're getting firsthand accounts from people that were there, the soldier says they didn't hear him coming. He says the Americans had technology superior to anything they've ever seen. Everything that they were using for radar, for anything, was completely taken offline. They had drones, and the drones were taking out bases and taking out things faster. They didn't have no technology. They've never had to fight against drones.
So I heard more about this, how the drones swarmed in from every direction, killing and people and et cetera. So yeah, tell me again about how you're going to violently resist the federal government of the United States.
He also talks about that there was only 8 helicopters. And
by the way, they turned off everything, all the defenses. They turned off the electricity without blowing anything up with some sort of tech.
Only 20 men that were sent in, and those 20 men killed hundreds of their men, and none of those soldiers were injured.
So the 20 Delta Force guys came in and killed hundreds.
He talks about it felt like they were firing 300 rounds a minute. Nothing they've ever seen, nothing that they can compete with. And then he also talks to the fact that the Americans had some kind of...
Listen to this.
Sonic shock boom that was sent out, and everybody immediately started bleeding profusely out of their nose. They couldn't even gather themselves because whatever was sent at them made them fall to their knees and vomit blood out of their mouth and out of their noses. They were incapacitated immediately.
Incapacitated.
He says he never wants to go through that again. Doesn't want to have to fight with the Americans again. He's sending warnings to everybody out there that you think you can fight the Americans. You don't even know what their weaponry is like and what they're capable of. 20 men took out hundreds, and that's starting to spread all through Latin America. And now they're not saying, if you want me, come and get me anymore. They're like, oh shit. Especially after Trump says, hey, Mexico, you're on the list too.
So whenever these people talk about it, you're going to run into it again because these people are either they're working for the federal government and they want to entrap you, or they are in a vegetative state. They have the maturity of a 15 or 14 or 13 or 12-year-old. If they talk about trying to fight the federal government, just say, shut the fuck up. You are useless garbage. Not going to listen to any of this. Not even a second.
Mr. Smith, I'm really worried. Your son just isn't focusing in class at all.
Sorry, what did you say?
like father, like son, for just about all healthy men. Listen to this if you're not mad already.
This is another one of those stories where I was like, what? So y'all remember Michael Byrd from January 6th? This is the Capitol Hill police officer who decided to murder an unarmed Ashley Babbitt. Well, guess what kind of business he runs out of his home? Guess he's got some Somali friends who turned him on to a good venture. Yeah, apparently Robert Byrd has been running a daycare out of his house for the last 17 years.
Listen closely. Now, remember, I don't endorse the news. I just share with you during the quick news and laughs what other people are sharing. This is now being shared everywhere that Byrd, this anti-white POS that murdered Ashley Babbitt, that wasn't prosecuted. He had a slew of misdeeds while in the Secret Service leading up to that, including handling a firearm improperly. And the research now is showing that he and his wife have been running a daycare for years out of their home. Neither of them have a license to tend to children. And this guy's about to tell you, for all the years they've been in business, not a single 17 years or something like that, they've been in business, not a single customer review, but they've been getting paid by the taxpayers, you and me.
And just to add a little more intrigue, somehow, in 17 years, the Byrd's Family Daycare in Brandywine has 0 reviews. Not a single parent has said they sent their kids there. But that hasn't stopped Mr. Byrd from raking in millions. Yes, the Capitol Hill police officer, who, by the way, isn't certified to take care of kids. Oh, and neither is his wife or anyone who lives at the home. Yeah, they've been running a daycare out of their house, a daycare, for the last 17 years and have taken in millions of dollars of taxpayer money over that time. And we're all supposed to pretend that's normal.
Yeah, I want to point out, it pisses me off to no end. This is the kind of corruption you see in the third world. This is why their societies can't function like our societies. And we are becoming the third world because we are being white erased in our countries. So this guy white erased a white guy from a job so that they could give this job to a black guy that obviously didn't deserve to be in the position. With all of the reprimands, all of the trouble he got in, and then all the way up to murdering Ashley Babbitt. And the entire time, he was also stealing from us millions of dollars in this bogus daycare scam. This is why the third world countries, one of the reasons, it's the biospirit of people. It's what they project into the world. It's what they think is moral and normal and good and acceptable. This is why their countries are full of corruption. And now, so are our countries. Kingdom of Finland said that a LRAD was probably used. And apparently, after the United States used the LRAD, the Venezuelan soldiers were so disoriented from it and bleeding out of their faces and mouths that they shot each other as well. They had no idea who the Americans, where for them, the bad guys were. So they were just shooting everybody that came into view. Cool Papa J Magic sharing during questioning about Greenland, President Trump told the reporters that we need Greenland. We need to own Greenland because, quote, people don't defend what doesn't belong to them. Maybe you all have heard your hierarch say that for the past 25 years, I've been making that point. When you are conservative and you disown, you disavow, you rebuff everything that we've done in the idiotic and vain hope that if we say we didn't do it, it just came down from some fairy that somehow then it won't be attacked anymore and non-white people will defend it. That's not how it works. Thank you for sharing that, Cool Papa J Magic. I'm out of my mind with rage over this piece of shit. Bird.
This is another one of those stories where I was.
Now take a look at this. We've talked about this a lot. The white guys that are able to make it in the anti-white system are not normal white guys. They're not proud white guys. They're not white guys with testosterone. They're not white guys that are excited about being white in Western civilization. No, the kind of white guys that make it inside the anti-white system are the kind of white guys that don't deserve to be there. They're the kind of white guys who are incompetent. They're the kind of white guys who are self-abasing. They're the kind of white guys who are deferential. And here you have a great example of a white guy, a red-haired, strawberry-haired white guy who is the chief and should have never. So this job was white erased to put in this anti-white white guy into this role. He cries, literally cries, over Tren de Aragua being shot to death after they weaponized their vehicle.
I want to speak for just a moment specifically to my Latino community.
Look at this absolute piece of shit. He's holding back the tears right now. Folks, just because you can look out and see some white guys left in this role or that role, what percentage of them are your typical white guy, and what percent of them are this kind of white guy? Anti-white, incompetent, doesn't deserve to be there.
It saddens me.
And I want you hear his voice breaking up. We're covering the story of Bilal, this anti-white black bitch up in Philadelphia, declaring war on ICE in law enforcement. And then this is going to be the white guy that you are supposed to look to for some sort of justice, some sort of fair treatment. What's going to happen when these two forces collide, quote unquote collide? This guy's going to capitulate and side with all the anti-whites.
I even have to qualify these remarks because I understand, or at least have attempted to understand through your voices, your concern.
This is so sickening. This absolute gelded bitch.
Your fear, your anger. This information in no way is meant to
look at this. This is not the West.
Disparage or to condone or support or agree with any of the actions that occurred yesterday. But it is important that we stay committed to the rule of law, that we stay committed to the facts.
So he is coming unglued because two Tren de Aragua, and he said, were shot when they weaponized their vehicle against Border Patrol. They were shot to death. Good. He's crying because the evidence is overwhelming that they are Tren de Aragua and that they deserve to die. And he doesn't want that to be the story or the outcome. What a piece of shit. So this is the kind of white guy that ethno-nationalists would say, he's one of ours. He gets to stay. No, thank you. I think we'll kick both of you out. This is great. English comedian speaking to some Danes, and they ask about, should we sell Greenland to the United States? I love his response.
Should we sell Greenland?
Should you sell it? Well, you've got the alternative is they take it.
I love it. So true. Hey, Therapeutic Dog helping rape victims in Pakistan. I didn't know that goats were raping each other. I didn't even know that goats could rape each other, but apparently in Pakistan they can. And here's a feel-good moment. A rhinoceros, and I think this is in Poland, gently plays with a deer, a type of deer, a little tiny type of deer in the pen here. Check this out. This is totally amazing. Look at the rhino's like, let's bring it. And he's like, we hit heads just then. That was amazing. He's like, let's go again. We hit heads again. Then he's hopping up and down. He's like, let's go, let's go. He runs over here trying to pretend he's a fast little deer. Let's ram heads again. Okay. That's amazing. Take a look at this sweet cupcake.
Okay. If you came home and found me in your bed, what would you do? Would you let me
I would puke. And then I would unload the magazine.
stay and cuddle? Or would you throw me out the window?
Yes. You're gone. State Senator Kavanaugh caught removing the portraits of the founders in the state capitol. This is in Nebraska. Nebraska. Supposed to be another one of those white haven states. Just rip down all the founding fathers' portraits. Nobody says anything or stops her. Here we have some wisdom from this golden retriever.
Women are the only creatures to defy the laws of gravity.
The heavier they are, the easier they are to pick up.
It's true.
One of my next door neighbors is a 90-year-old man suffering from Alzheimer's. And every single morning at 9 a.m., he knocks on my door and he asks me if I have seen his wife. Which means that every single morning at 9 a.m., I have to explain to a 90-year-old man suffering from Alzheimer's that his wife has been dead for quite some time. Now, I have thought about moving. I have thought about just not answering my door in the morning. But to be honest, it's worth it just to see the smile on his face. One of my next door neighbors.
Oh my God. She's dead? Make someone's day more exciting by texting, quote, on my way, close quote, at 7:30 a.m. when you don't have plans. I'm going to do that to somebody. Hey, this is the vet said he won't see the dog until the drugs kick in.
I was going to go to...
Take a look at this dog. That dog is high as hell. I think he's ready. Now, this dog at the top of the stairs, you can barely see him, is looking for his owner on the other side of the door. The owner's in the basement with a camera.
Tiki! Tiki! Hey, stupid! Hey! Turn around, you stupid bastard! Tiki! Turn around! Turn around! Tiki, turn the fuck around! Jesus!
Turn around, you stupid bastard. Oh my God. Hey, check this out. Look at the tire pressure on this car. No matter how much air I put in, it won't get to 100. And then the commenter writes, MF is going to hit a pothole and end up in a plane accident. And finally, we have this. This poor soul had a surgery for weight loss. And when after the surgery, he's starting to come out of it, just barely. And his doctor decided to play a little joke on him. You have to take a real close look at this guy's right eye. That's the one on the left for you looking at him. He says here, the adrenaline in his body tried its hardest to fight that anesthesia.
Be asleep any second now and be ready for your sex change surgery. I'm not here for no sex change surgery. I'm here for a weight loss surgery. No, wait. Be asleep any second now and be ready for your sex change surgery. I'm not here for no sex change surgery. I'm here for a weight loss surgery.
Oh my God,
head again. 6 strings hum like a restless friend. Been biting my tongue way too long. Now the jukebox coughs up a dirty song. Everybody talking like they're ashamed to breathe, apologizing for just being me. Man, I didn't sign up for that crawl. I came to shout, I came to brawl. It's time to go crazy, time to let loose. Kick down the door, shake off the noose. If you hate your reflection, that's your own deal. But I'm done playing small, I'm done being unreal. Just to fit in, you won't like this sound, you won't like this riff, so get the fuck out of here, take your kiss off trip. It's time to go crazy, time to let loose, turn it down into sawdust and booze. This ain't a sermon, this ain't a guilt trip, this is blood pulse music, hip swing grip. I love who I am, I know my name. I don't spit on myself for someone else's game.
Give it up for Anglo-Saxon NWG, ladies and gentlemen. Totally epic piece of music right there. Well done, sir. Well done. Let's get into this and keep rolling. I tweeted this. Watch Nathan Lentini just went full go free in public and absolutely destroyed. By the way, I want to give a big thank you to Rapunzel for gathering so many of those tweets and pieces of information that we were just sharing. Nathan Lentini, ladies and gentlemen, another proof of go free, the practice working again and again and again and again. I'm so excited. He went full go free in public and absolutely destroyed an anti-white activist in a live confrontation. He joins legends like NWG Clips, proving once again, go free works every single time, ladies and gentlemen. Let's watch this video and break it down of the great Nathan Lentini. He was out just strolling, and I will read to you what he said to me about this. He was out just strolling, and sometimes it hits him that he can't handle the anti-whiteism. And so he feels the need to tell the anti-whites what they are. He says here, though, the saddest thing is that all of these hyper-aggressive, violent anti-whites I've encountered, all of them have been white, or they appear to be white. The biggest issue by far is white anti-whites like these. Thank you for sharing this and giving it publicity. As you said, who's next? The question I've been asking for years. NWG Clips, Raymond Foster, Irish Ice are the only ones I know to do these in real life things, along with yourself, obviously. I'm with you, brother. Heart, soul, and flesh on the line every day doing battle. Give it up for Nathan Lentini, ladies and gentlemen. Big salutes, quadruple 07s, crowns, and gems. You are about to witness the power of the practice. Nathan goes in there with only one of our concepts, and he stays on point as the Go Free practice teaches you to stay on point, gaining the moral high ground, staying in the moral high ground, forcing the anti-white to play the position of the villain in our story. And what have I told you? How many times have I told you exactly how this works, exactly how it plays out? And it happens exactly as I say, exactly as I tell you, for decades. Then we got the likes, as I see today, that Twitter account called Kevin McDonald's. He's not the Kevin McDonald. And but his Twitter account, he's in so many of the white sympathetic sphere groups and shows up in the chats and everything. And there he is in another content creator's thread underneath of her post saying, you know what you should do is you should go follow Jared Taylor. He's the OG. OG, the guy who said that before Donald Trump, that when Donald Trump got elected in 2016, that his entire time building American Renaissance, he was under the impression that it was just to record the failure, the loss of our people, so that at some distant point, people could look back and see that white people had fought and how it went bad and how we were misrepresented and everything. But now that Donald Trump is elected, he has some hope that there can be some constructive gain. So I pointed out, once again, to Kevin McDonald's, there you are again, steering more people to another failed strategy. This is what works. Mr. Worldwide is right. OG, outdated grandpa. This is Nathan walking along with his camera. Look at this place right here, this anti-white garbage business. Peace sign. Hate has no home here. All of this is all of the ornamentation of anti-whiteism, telling you everything you need to know about the inside. You know, the hate has no home here means white people who aren't anti-white have no home here. White people are not permitted. White people are not allowed. You're proud to be white, you're the devil. That's what these people are telling you. There's the hate has no home here. Look at this one right here. And it's always, we do not give them the names of their taking. We do not take the names of their giving. Here they're saying they represent love and inclusion. Is that what anti-whiteism does? Does it represent inclusion? Do not yield to them this narrative that we live in, the narrative that you will live in. Of course, the devil is going to call himself sublime and loving and beautiful and caring. Then you have white people out there that will and associate themselves with smiley faces, as you see here. Then you have white people who are anti-non-white who will happily say, okay, then I'm the villain, I'm the evil guy. Look at this anti-white filth. This is like you putting on the glasses from that movie and you can see what's really written there. White people die. White people get out of the country. white people not welcome. When you put on the glasses of the Go Free dialogic, you can read what those flags and those banners actually say. Now, what am I saying here? What am I shouting about? About what I said would happen when you employ the practice in a conversation with the anti-white. They have one of two options. They're either going to deny that they're the villain in the story. They're either going to, and when they do that, they're jumping to your story, our story. You are deciding what they have to do to prove that they aren't anti-white. Fuck every single one of these people from the so-called white sympathetic sphere who have been, by the way, shadow banning me before there was digital shadow banning. Why? Because they weren't in my face saying, oh, Jason, you can't share Go Free here. We don't want you on at the lectern so that you can share. No, they didn't come to my face and say that. No, they shadow banned me. They went behind my back and they told the people organizing and they told the participants and they told everybody that they needed to tell. No, he's not. Don't let him. He's not allowed. He's not anti-non-white like us. And deeper than that, the deep and unabiding jealousy that they have for wanting to be the center of attention and patted on the head. You get to see what I teach. Winning. I only know Nathan from online. Probably will never meet him. It would be a shame in person. And yet this guy is a rock star because of the practice. What's the option? They're either going to capitulate and you get to say what they have to do to prove that they are not anti-white, or just as much of a victory is for them to take the identity of the villain in our story. And that's exactly what this POS does. Nathan beats him in under 60 seconds.
Hello. You guys work here? You're the owners? I was wondering why you have so many anti-white banners up there.
Anti-what?
Anti-white. Yeah. Messages that are against white people.
Perfectly framing it in our narrative. Not going to go in there and say, well, I think that hate has no home here is kind of a leftist slogan. And no, it's just he's averring fact. These things are anti-white. I know they're anti-white. You know they're anti-white. And what ends up happening? Is the guy confused? Is his wife confused here? Or do they know immediately what Nathan is saying? They know immediately what Nathan is saying.
Like hate has no home here, inclusivity, equality, diversity, all this stuff.
What the Sam hell are you talking about?
So the question is, why? Can you explain to me why you hate white people so much?
Now look, now he's violent. Instead of continuing the conversation, he's immediately going to come out with clear aggression, jumping out of his chair to confront Nathan over the question of why are you so anti-white? Now, if he wasn't anti-white, wouldn't he sit back and say, man, seriously, I don't dislike anybody. No, this guy is anti-white. Make them behave this way. It is an enormous atomic level victory.
Come show me.
Wait till you see what he says. Maybe you don't have to see to know what he's about to say, because I've told you thousands of times.
What the fuck are you talking about?
You don't know. You don't know what's on your own
Okay, so he said, "Show me what the F you're talking about."
store.
You ain't coming to my house talking to me like this. What are you talking about?
You ain't putting anti-white messages in my fucking country?
Yeah, what you gonna do about it?
Do you hear that? He just owned it. The great Nathan Lentini says, you're not putting anti-white slogans in my effing country. And the shop owner says, oh yeah, what are you going to do about it? He just owned the anti-whiteism. That's where you want to put them. And here we have this Kevin McDonald's trying to direct people to all of the failure. The girl can was using a slogan that I came. Do you remember the first meme that I created? And I ran it as a commercial. I could pull it up right now. I ran it as a commercial on X years ago, where it said you don't have to be pro-white to be against anti-whiteism. You remember that? And do you remember how many of the anti-non-whites attacked me and attacked you and attacked this community for that slogan? That I said, we need, you remember I told you, I said, we need flags that you used to see across the South, these absolutely asinine flags about it's not hate, it's history and all this kind of bullshit. Totally useless inside the anti-white narrative, written on Confederate flags. And I said, we needed flags that say in so many words, as I put in the commercial on X, that you don't have to be pro-white to be against anti-whiteism. The whole white world can adopt that. So this girl says this, this content creator says this, and McDonald's is there saying, oh, no, turn away from that. Go study IQ and arrest records at American Renaissance.
Hate has no home here. That's anti-white. Equality, love, inclusion, diversity, all that bullshit, anti-white. You think you come here and be fucking anti-white?
Yeah, I hate white people.
Why?
Oh, was I right? Was I right? Did you just hear that? The shop owner says, yeah, I hate white people. He tries to backtrack it a little bit in a moment by saying, oh, I hate all white people because of you. Well, what is it about Lentini that he hates? A proud white man that's sick of anti-whiteism. This white shop owner will happily embrace anti-white white guys. But Nathan is not an anti-white white guy. Let's listen to that again.
Hate has no home here. That's anti-white. Equality, love, inclusion, diversity, all that bullshit, anti-white. You think you come here and be fucking anti-white?
Yeah, I hate white people.
Why?
Play that 1,000 times for yourself. Play that 1,000 times. What have I told? Are these people Marxists? Are they lovers? Are they communists? Or do they have bleeding hearts? I have been so right from the very beginning. All of these motherfuckers in the so-called white sympathetic sphere should have been yielding to me. How many times does this have to be? And instead of yielding to me, they go and they will appear with and legitimize the taboo grifters and their filth. Fuck every one of them.
Because you, motherfucker.
Tell me why.
I hate you.
Why is the question?
Because you're a scum. Get the fuck out of
You're
my sight.
anti-white.
Yeah, I hate
You're
white
anti-white.
people.
You do.
Nathan's doing the right thing here. He's maintaining the position of the moral high ground. He's calling out the anti-white, not for love, not for a bleeding heart, not for caring about blacks. He's calling him out for what he actually is, which is an anti-white. And while Nathan is he's staying on point in the face of this guy physically threatening him, walking him down, and Nathan's doing the right thing, not letting this guy get within striking distance, because this guy will absolutely hit Nathan in the face. He absolutely will. Not only that, but when the police show up, because we live in an anti-white world, if that's ended up being what happened, then Nathan is going to be the one taken to jail, not the anti-white. So Nathan's doing the right thing. Back away from this violent anti-white POS. Stay on point. And he's already defeated him. Already defeated him. Because why? He's using the dialogic.
Yeah.
You hate white people. That's all I wanted to let you know. All this is bullshit. You're just anti-white.
Go fuck yourself.
You fuck yourself.
You fucking worthless fuck.
You're an anti-white piece of shit.
I hate white people. I hate you.
I hate white people and I hate you, he said. This really makes me just want to, the whole white sympathetic sphere needs to be torched. It's all garbage. It's all failure. It's all these selfish little jealous turds that they don't look as good as me. They're not as athletic as me. They didn't come up with the formula that wins. Whatever it is, all of the above. They stood beside me at a urinal. Whatever it is. This is what happens every time that the strategy is implemented. Everything else fails. For generations. Fuck all of you.
Yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
Motherfucker.
My point is proven. You're anti-white. You're an anti-white piece of fucking garbage. You're an anti-white piece of fucking garbage. You're an anti-white piece of garbage.
You're the reason I hate
You're anti-white. You're anti-white.
You're the reason I hate white people, because Nathan is not anti-white himself.
You're anti-white. You're anti-white. You're anti-white. That's all I want to let you know.
They both get to, the wife and the guy get to the point where they're just like screaming, and Nathan stays right on point. You're anti-white. You are anti-white.
All that stuff is bullshit.
Now, I want you to imagine this in every situation of your life, because it can be throttled up or it can be throttled down. Imagine it at the breakfast table. Imagine it at the diner. Imagine it at the workplace. Imagine, etc. Imagine these people around you having to play the villain in our narrative and then making the decision. Are they going to say, oh, I've got white friends, I'm white myself, or whatever? And then you get to be in the offensive position. You are the one in control. You are the one dialing up what will be discussed. Do you want that? Or do you want to be in their narrative? Do you want to call them by their names? Do you want to only use their verbiage? Or you could be a winner.
Anti-white.
You're scum.
You're anti-white.
You're scum.
You're anti-white.
Bye.
You're anti-white. Get back in your fucking store.
Yeah. Go fuck yourself, you piece of shit.
You're an anti-white hater.
Go fuck yourself.
Just wanted to let you know. Point proven.
Now, I want you to also, I want you to think about this too. These people, I can't see, but they probably videotaped this as well. But it hasn't shown up, has it? Wonder why it didn't show up on the internet. They probably have security cameras. Why didn't it show up on the internet? This business owner saying he hates white people. Now, I want you to contrast that with the little females who had arrest records, who behaved unconscionably stupid with anti-white non-whites. And those videotapes were immediately uploaded to the internet. See the difference? See the fucking difference? Unbelievable. Did I lose power again? drowning in the argument. The anti-white says, what exactly is anti-white? You have got to be animated with the righteous passion of reclaiming our destiny. We are the heroes of this era. Wow. We must be throwing so much fire today that we've just got to be shut down. Am I on the same stream on YouTube or has it changed? Somebody tag me. And let me know. All right, so it looks like we're on the same stream. It didn't start a new one.
Prove it.
Anti-white.
You're just proving.
I hate whites because of you.
You're just proving how much of a piece of shit you are.
No, you are the definition of
You're
shit.
anti-white.
You're scum.
You're anti-white scum.
You're scum.
Thanks, Ivan. So do you hear this? Do you see how perfectly Nathan is staying on point here? The guy is calling him scum and everything, and Nathan keeps coming back with you're anti-white scum, maintaining the narrative of white positivity. I want you to imagine this 1,000-fold, 10,000-fold across Western civilization. Imagine it.
You're anti-white.
That's all you got.
That's all it is.
No.
Yeah, that's a great right there. The guy says, that's all you got? Now, lesser people, weaker-minded people, anti-non-white mutts would give in to this anti-white, would want to talk about a bunch of other things. Not Nathan. No, he's wielding the practice too sublimely. He says, that's all it is. I love it. Listen to this.
How much of a piece of shit you are.
No, you are the definition of shit.
You're anti-white.
You're scum.
You're anti-white scum.
You're scum.
You're anti-white.
That's all you got.
That's all it is.
No.
That's all you got, he says. Nathan says, that's all it is. Exactly. Stay on point.
Oh, you're scum.
Why do you hate white people?
Because of you.
Then he says, why do you hate white people? And the guy does what? Answers him. Because of you. A white guy who's not anti-white. A white guy who won't capitulate.
That's all you got.
That's all it is.
No, you're scum.
Why do you hate white people?
Because of you.
I love that. I absolutely love that. He's totally in charge. This doesn't happen anywhere else with any of these other content creators. We are the only people making you a champion. This is it. This community of apostles, we are the only people that can turn you into a champion for white well-being. Everywhere, there are plenty of content creators out there that have made themselves, quote unquote pro-white, made themselves really popular. They get on Instagram, they get on these different platforms, and then they'll show a video of an anti-white saying something that is objectionable, and then they'll come back with some little response there about, oh, well, the fact actually is, and then they'll share some quote unquote facts, and then they'll end up having 50,000, 500,000 views to this. And then everybody is, yes, that he really got him good. He didn't get shit. He didn't get shit good. This is the victory. You do this at your dinner table. You do this at the water cooler. It could be throttled up and throttled down. You do this in the board meeting. Throttle it up and throttle it down. We have a guy in this community who several years ago, he works in mainstream media, in publishing. And it's the staff is hugely white erased where he works. And he was able to bring up anti-whiteism at a meeting and say, I think this is really a product of anti-whiteism. And is that what we're seeing here? And everybody heeded what he had to say. Everybody was like, yeah, actually, it is kind of anti-white, isn't it?
Not a reason.
Yeah, it is, because of your antics right now.
Your shit.
Your antics right now
You're
make
the
me hate
shithead.
people.
You're the shithead.
Yeah, I'm
Just letting you know. You're anti-white. See, you're the shithead.
See, this anti-white guy, white guy, is saying, I will F you up. He wants to physically assault Nathan because Nathan's not anti-white like him. He's revealed everything. No, the video they took is not going to go public. They don't want that reaching the masses.
I will fuck you up.
You're a violent shithead.
I will fuck you up. You understand me?
You're a violent shithead.
I am violent because I'm going to fuck you up.
See how violent anti-whites are?
Yeah.
Perfectly done. See how violent anti-whites are. Perfectly done. You take the same strategy and you can apply it everywhere. Every single place and win.
An anti-white piece of scum.
You're fucking scum.
You're an anti-white scum. Fuck you. Fuck you. You think I'm sharing you? Fuck you, man. You're an anti-white piece of shit. Fuck off. You're anti-white.
Had the last word. You are anti-white. Let's give it up for Nathan Lentini. Way to kick ass, my brother. Totally epic. If you all tag me as No White Guilt, please, share the stream. I lost all of the X comments. I can't see any of them here, at least. I could probably see them in another way. Let me know if Entropy, the Dude Bro Moment platform, is running. It appears to be running. And tag me as No White Guilt if you have any questions about this, you have any doubt, especially if you're one of these followers of the old failed strategies. I really detest every one of you who argue against the Go Free dialogic in favor of failed strategies. I loathe you. I loathe you. You are garbage. You have been in the way. You have been shadow banning me. You have been undermining me. We could have had by now hundreds of thousands of Nathan Lentinis. Now, Nathan here is a grown man, and he saw this and he had enough. He took the strategy in his capacity and in his mental state at that moment. He was angry, sick of seeing the anti-whiteism, and went in and confronted this anti-white shop owner. But this same strategy, the magnificence of it, is it can be wielded by everyone. It can be wielded by a little girl. And it can be wielded, the exact same strategy, in a quiet way, in a soft way, in a gentle way. Can be wielded this way in a nursery room. Can be wielded. Do we really want to? You're in the nursery room, you have a white teacher, and maybe she has an anti-white co-worker. It's two teachers in the room. And the other teacher wants to put up a poster that is clearly anti-white. Now, what is the other teacher supposed to do? Well, if she's going free, she can use this exact same strategy. I don't think it's appropriate to bring anti-whiteism into the classroom. Really? Well, how's this anti-white? Well, because of this reason and that reason, what these things really represent in the world. They say here it represents, but it really represents something else. And I find it really offensive. And I don't think we should subject the children in here to a socio-political statement of anti-whiteism. The conversation's all about that teacher being the good person, calling out the villain in our narrative, forcing the other teacher to defend the villain position or capitulate. Same strategy everywhere. Can be useful everywhere. We have been fighting uphill for so fucking long. And, to see today, Kevin McDonald's over there with this female, this white female content creator who uses something that I and then all of we have been putting into memes and putting out there a slogan. And then for him to show up and say, yeah, that's good, but go over someplace else. Fuck you for that. You in your wizened old loser ways. You understand me? I'm tired of battling you anti-non-white garbage. I'm sick of having to fight for the well-being of my people through you anti-non-white garbage. Supposedly on the same side. We obviously aren't on the same side. Thank you, Ivan, for saying the same stream. Thank you, Dennis. Agreement, saying 100% about something I said. Westercard 007 saying genius. Let me see over here. I guess Rumble is still working. Could somebody let me know if Rumble's still working? Dallas says Nathan is a glorious white king. Absolutely. Everybody's celebrating. Wild Herb Ways saying stay on point, focused, celebrating Nathan Lentini. Last Independent Thinker, thank you, says Rumble is still working. No W Guilt on D Live saying of Anglo-Saxon NWG's song, this song is a banger. It absolutely is. And thank you to Wing It Productions for letting me know about earlier when YouTube over there on Odyssey, that YouTube had switched the streams. I'm guessing everywhere else kept the exact same stream rolling, but I don't know. You can let me know if it did. What an epic victory. And because all of these other strategies have been in place for all of this time, and I have been shadow banned by the anti-non-whites and the jealous little bitches in the white sympathetic sphere, the jealous motherfuckers in the white sympathetic sphere, we've made no progress, or nowhere near the progress that we could have made for decades had I been able to be heard, and we actually had the same objective of white well-being. So instead, we have the Philadelphia sheriff tells ICE, you don't want this smoke. You don't want this smoke, ma effa. Threatens to arrest ICE if they come into Philadelphia. Let's hear what this anti-white pig had to say. And no, her problem is not that she's black. Her problem is that she's anti-white, just like that white shop owner. They're the same. They're the exact same. They're not, the white shop owner is not our brother. He doesn't get to stay. He's not of our kind. He's anti-white. He gets to be thrown out.
Good afternoon. I'm Rachelle Bilal, the sheriff for the...
Rachelle Bilal. I'm Rachelle Bilal. She has a reputation of disciplinary issues, as I understand. Check it out for yourself. Working in law enforcement. But somehow, the job had to be white erased. White man doesn't get to have the job. So Rachelle Bilal gets to have the job. And Cucks will say, they won't even talk about the race of the white guy that didn't get the job because of her. What ended up happening to him? What about the competent people that he would have hired? What about, when it comes to policing, the people whose lives would have been saved? The women who wouldn't have been raped? The children who wouldn't have been molested? Because you would have had competent white guys, not like that sheriff that we were watching crying. Where was he from? Oregon. Crying over Tren de Aragua being shot to death. No, competent white males, proud white males, men of the West. Think of the ramifications for Philadelphia, for the people of Philadelphia, of all races. Think of the ramifications. No, policing has to be white erased. Law has to be white erased. Justice has to be white erased. It's all got to be changed from what we produce and recreate, transformed into the anathema, the inverse of what we are. That's the victory of anti-whiteism. By the way, so much to talk about here. I took a couple of notes to make sure I didn't miss it all. Make sure you share the stream, the gathering today. So let's listen to Rachelle Bilal and what she had to say.
City and County of Philadelphia. And I say her name, Renee Good.
Now look at this disgusting religio act. This is what's become. She's a top sheriff in Philadelphia. This is what's become of the white man's civilization, not ours anymore. And all those old strategies that Kevin McDonald's wants to direct people to have failed, have gotten us here. That guy needs to just take his Metamucil and sit on the toilet and stop participating in the defense of our people.
Renee Good. Renee Good.
Renee Good.
Say her name. Renee Good.
Renee Good.
Renee Good.
Look at this absolutely religio practice right here. And what is the religion? Anti-whiteism.
This should not have happened, but we're here today. Let know that law enforcement professionals will.
So, before we go any further, this didn't happen in Philadelphia. So, why is she commenting? Because she's anti-white. This has nothing to do with performing the jobs of a sheriff in Philadelphia. Zero. But she has to hold a press conference because she's anti-white, like that shop owner. And she has to come before the public to tell the public how evil it is to not be anti-white.
Let know that law enforcement professionals, real ones.
And there's where it begins. Real ones, as opposed to ICE.
Not the fake made up ICE, probably Trump's new army to attack citizens of the United States.
Right. Before the speech was over, if I'm in charge, she's arrested. While she's standing at the lectern, she's arrested. The ramifications of undermining the authority of another branch of law enforcement in the United States are manifold, not the least of which is the death that it's going to cause, the insurrection that she's inciting. Arrest this anti-white pig. Drag her ass off to jail forever.
Did you hear what I said?
Did you hear what I said? Did you hear what I said? Yeah, you're arrested. That's what we say. That's what white males say. You shouldn't be in that role. Take your anti-white black ass and we're going to stick it in prison for inciting insurrection. Look at all of the stars and the scrambled eggs on her hat.
No law enforcement professional wears a mask. None. None.
Invalidating the way that ICE has to operate because of the atmosphere. By the way, this guy Ross, who had to save his life after he was struck with an automobile driven by Good, trying to race through him and away from being taken out of her automobile and arrested. Again, she has a long arrest record. Check it out for yourself. Maybe I don't have it right. And he has to shoot her. His family is has gone into hiding. So that's why ICE has to wear masks, because of what anti-whiteism has done to this country. So what this pig, this fat ass anti-white pig is saying, no, your identity has to be known so we can get you. So the psychotic SSRI driven anti-white garbage living off the theft from the white population in the West so that they can find your home and kill your family members. Man, this piece of shit, I swear, she absolutely has to be taken out of this job.
Those that come into our communities wearing a mask to commit crime, thank God for our district attorney, Larry Krasner, who said he's going to lock them up. And I'm saying
Krasner and anti-white. The fact that he passed between Jewish legs when he came into this world doesn't mean shit if you care about the white race. Because the worst thing about anyone on planet Earth is that they could be anti-us, not born a certain way.
Now, we are not going to whisk you away for them to hide your identity.
There it is. We want you and your family to be found and raped and murdered and your house set on fire. For what? For doing your job as law enforcement in the United States. I would charge her with treason, and I would shoot for, the pun intended, I would shoot for execution if I were a prosecutor.
Because when you do it there, you're getting arrested there.
So you come to Philadelphia with a mask on, federal agents, and she is of the mind that you must be arrested.
No whisk away for them to hide you. None of that here. None of that here.
By applying, Tocolo, she's saying, how do you rid your society of this sort of person? By applying the Go Free Dialogic. Like, are you new? I've seen you in the live chat for a long time. Are you honestly asking that? Or is this kind of like a backhanded kind of, these people are always going to be around no matter what you do, unless what? You kill them? Is that what you're asking me? I'm not in the mood. We have a strategy that works. If you create a white people out of the deracinated white race, people like this won't get these jobs. And the legitimate black people who, and I promise you, there are black people out there who are going to be good black people. They're going to be in policing roles, and they're going to be looking at her and saying, this is outrageous that she says that she should be arrested. Guaranteed. You can't fire them because no shit. But when you have a people, you can do anything. Have you noticed? A synagogue got set on fire in Mississippi, and the whole federal government and state governments move into action to find the person and arrest them. So if we have a people, she can absolutely be fired. What do you suggest? If that's not the path, if the Go Free Dialogic is not the path, if that's not going to remedy the problem, then what's your suggestion? Tag me.
Law enforcement professionals do not shoot at moving vehicles. I'm not saying fleeing because she wasn't fleeing. She was getting out of the way.
She was getting out of the way. You can hear on his body camera when he's struck with the car.
Law enforcement professionals do not stand in front of moving vehicles invoking an action that is illegal.
Evoking? And she can't even properly speak English. Obviously, she shouldn't be in this role. I guarantee you she's making six figures. She has clout. She has prestige. She drives a nice car. She lives in a nice neighborhood. She takes nice vacations. All the things that so many millions of white guys can't have because of white erasure. Okay, Tocolo, she is saying it's a serious question. The serious answer is for the white race to become a people. And we become a people by using the lexical and dialectical power of the Go Free dialogic. So you never need to ask that question again, right? I would like to know, if not Go Free, if not Go Free, then what? What are the suggestions of other content creators? Because I've been here 30 years and I've listened to all of the garbage that fails. None of it is logical. None of it is logical. None of it stands the test of reason. None of it works in application in the real world. Don't tell me you're going to suggest that we make some sort of argument for a peaceable disassociation and they go their way and we go ours. Don't even tell me you're going to try that argument. I don't know why I'm feeling like that's a possible argument, but that's not even remotely possible.
No, we don't. And so we stand here today with all.
So you don't get into, I wanted to speak to that. You don't get in front of a automobile. You absolutely. He was following the letter of the law. He walked around the vehicle, filming these people, filming him. He absolutely, first of all, bitch, anti-white bitch, fat bitch. First of all, it's illegal for them to interfere in the operation of federal law enforcement. By pulling her vehicle perpendicular on the road, she was preventing them. Do you know that according to the rules of engagement, for lack of a better term, for police officers, if they're boxed in, they have a right and a duty to fight their way out. They don't have a duty to capitulate. Because if they're boxed in, what's the reason for the boxing in? What could be taking place during the boxing in? They could be attacked. They could be murdered. So they can take any step they have to get beyond those who are trying to trap them. But they were nice. ICE was nice. They got out and said, hey, get out of here. We're going to give you an opportunity to get out of here. You're interfering with federal law enforcement. You could be, this is an arrestable crime. You could do time for this. You could be arrested for this. And then when the ICE agent had finally had enough, they weren't leaving. They were keeping the ICE blocked in for who knows what's happening. Who knows what's coming. Maybe there's a person lining up a shot on the ICE agents with all the rhetoric of anti-white garbage like this fat pig right here. They finally say to her, all right, get out of the car. You're under arrest. And then what does she do when she's told, get out of the car, she's under arrest? She throws it in reverse, peels out. Then her wife or whatever jumps in, says, go, go, go. She throws it into drive. And even though there's still a law enforcement, ICE agent in front of her, she stomps on the gas. So it's not his duty to get out of the way.
Those who stand against the made-up, fake, what you can call ICE, professional law enforcement. I don't call them none of that. I call them made-up, fake, wannabe law enforcement.
Instigating insurrection, instigating disobedience, instigating altercations, which could very well turn deadly with ICE. And ICE is often accompanied by DHS and other federal law enforcement. So she'll be responsible. So the next anti-white pig that decides to engage in X, Y, or Z and ends up being tasered and falls to the pavement, hits their head and is brain dead, or ends up getting shot by federal law enforcement, it's her fault. You know what else she's conveying? She's saying, if you fight ICE, if you fight DHS, if you fight this law enforcement in Philadelphia, carte blanche. You could do what you want here because I consider it illegitimate for them to be here. That's what she's saying. They're fake law enforcement. So under my rule, wherever I have a decision to make, then you could do what you want with these people. How is she not already arrested for this?
Because what they do is against not only legal law, but the moral law.
Okay, so this sounds dumb at first blush, and it is legal law. But she's conveying what I teach about anti-whites. I don't know how right I have to be. How right? How many times do I have to be right? How profound does the proofs of my statements over the decades have to be before everyone else shuts the fuck up and gets it and says, this guy's figured it out? She said, not only legal law, but moral law.
Made up fake wannabe law enforcement. Because what they do is against not only legal law, but the moral law.
So, what's the moral law she's talking about? The anti-white immoral imperative. The social morality of the West. You're welcome. How disgusting. How disgusting that I've had to deal with a shadow banning by people who are ostensibly, they claim to be engaged in their activities for the good of white people. What horse shit. What absolute horse shit. This is the morality of the West. It is the social morality. It is the morality that trumps everything else, every other morality, every other code of ethic in the minds of anti-whites. It is the social morality that causes the vagues out there, our brothers and sisters in their millions, to capitulate, to bend, to be deferential, to give all of these statements when they're going to be critical of anti-whiteism, to give all of these statements about how they aren't the immoral monster. By whose metric? Their metric. The disclaimer that is ubiquitous in conservative circles. What is that disclaimer? I'm not a racist, but I'm not a bigot, but I'm not a homophobe, but. And then citing non-whites, so often citing MLK and others. Non-white conservative thinkers they cite. It's because Jason has been right the whole time. Jason's been right the whole time. Recognize the reality of born leadership. Recognize the reality of blood. So, the moral law. So that's the one that they interpret all of our laws with. Apply all of our law. That's the standard. Krasner right here, the prosecuting attorney, the DA in Philadelphia, that's how he prosecutes each case. Let me look at what we have here still left from the white man's laws that are written down. Oh, the legal law. I'll just interpret this one like this, and that person gets to walk. I'll just dilate this one with my interpretation so that that white guy gets to go to jail. The moral law trumps everything else. It always has. And that's why I've argued and have been silenced that the moral law is the one we have to attack. The social morality. The anti-white immoral imperative. What a week this has been for white well-being, for this community. What a week it has been. You have the anti-whites literally telling you, Jason, the Jason guy, he's actually the one that figured it out. You dumb motherfuckers won't listen to him, but he figured it out. And then you have the application of the practice in the real world with the great Nathan Lentini going in and confronting the anti-white shop owner. And what ends up happening? Exactly what Jason said would happen. How many times, seriously, do I have to say ABC and then it plays out as ABC?
So I'm with the DA, and we will work with them. If any of them want to come in this city and commit a crime, you will not be able to hide. Nobody will wish you off. You don't want this smoke, because we will bring it.
Right there. You don't want this smoke because we'll bring it. So same thing with that mayor as well. Insurrection, off to jail. Same thing with the Governor Walz. Insurrection, off to jail.
To you. And the fake, whatever they call them, because I can't say the name, but the criminal in the White House would not be able to keep you from going to jail.
Now, you can ridicule presidents. That's part of free speech. It's a tradition in the United States. It was a tradition until the black anti-white Obama got in office. And then people started getting arrested for mocking him. Does anybody remember that? Maybe I'm just not recalling that accurately. I recall, for example, one of these guys at the bullfights, one of the clowns at the bullfighting, and he wore the masks of the presidents during his career. And when it got to Obama, he put the mask on, and the Secret Service visited him. So she's allowed to mock him, but to call him a criminal, I don't know. I think for me, with everything else she said, that's another step beyond the line.
Renee Good should be here today. And to her family, we are saying law enforcement professionals are not the ones here in this city that would do that. But here's the last thing that I will say. Law enforcement professionals around the country do their job. And we have been fighting for years to build that bridge between us and our communities. You have one negative nutcase.
By the way, this is another mean pathogenic idea that the reason why there is bad behavior, the reason why there's criminality, rape, murder, drugs, drinking, driving, everything, extortion, shakedown, gangs, everything, is because there just isn't a good relationship between the population and the police. They see the police as these awful people because the police come and arrest them. So this is an old set of mean pathogens. So then they went to the police departments and they said, well, we got to white erase them. We need to not hire a bunch of white guys that deserve this career, and instead hire a bunch of non-white people, some of whom will have been up to snuff and they would have deserved to have made it, but most of them no. So that they can go into these communities and then have that rapport with them, and then that will stop the crime. This is an old set of mean pathogens. Why didn't you listen to me? You're not listening to me now. That's exactly what this is. She's saying, we've worked for decades. We're still trying to make the crime less by trying to create relationship with the community. No, that's not how it works. That's not how it works at all. We had a wonderful relationship with law enforcement when the country was almost 100% white. We had a wonderful relationship. And when you have a bad relationship with law enforcement, in far more cases than not, it's because you've broken the law. That's how that works. You don't change the application of law. You don't change the application of policing because criminals and their families get a bad opinion of policing and police officers.
That causes this problem.
So what's going to happen is now, going back to the old mean pathogens, that, well, they're going to commit crimes in our neighborhood. The crime is going to be through the roof in our neighborhoods in Philadelphia, not because the norms of policing have been white erased, not because of the biospiritual projection of these people into the world. And this is a behavior that's much more normal for some of those peoples, perhaps. Not because of that. No, it's because ICE made people hate law enforcement. So it's the white man's fault yet again. But you know what? Yeah, go follow Kevin McDonald's lead and go get some more information on IQ scores and arrest records and maturation rates and what this philosopher or that philosopher thought. Yeah, just go do all of that because that's going to help.
And now we all have to fight again to let people know law.
I didn't even watch this. That's exactly what she says now. Because ICE is ruining the relationship between law enforcement and the population. Now we have to fight to let them know that they could trust us.
Law enforcement works with communities. These crimes would not be down if we didn't have communities work with us.
Yeah. You know what? You don't need communities to work with police to get everybody to obey the law. So here it is. Philadelphia Sheriff Rachelle Bilal held a presser in which he called ICE fake, told them, "You don't want this smoke. You don't want this smoke," and threatened their arrest. So you saw it all. Here's some things. Let me see here. First of all, I wrote down public officials are held to higher standards of conduct and rhetoric. So maybe you or maybe some streetwalker could talk this way. But if you're going to hold this position, this clout, this authority, that salary, that retirement package, those vacations, able to order others what to do, then you cannot conduct yourself like this and you cannot speak that way. That's our standards. So I wrote here her comments on ICE being fake law enforcement and declaring war on them undermine the legitimacy of ICE and law enforcement, federal law enforcement. She's an anti-white hire. She's been in trouble with her peers and supervisors. She'll be responsible, the cause of more deadly encounters with federal law enforcement and with law enforcement in general. Any law enforcement, wherever they are, even in Philadelphia, because of her statements, because those cops are just there to apply the white man's rules, the white man's law. She's signaling that violent resistance against ICE will be tolerated in Philadelphia. That's what she's signaling to everybody with these comments. She's signaling to all of the law enforcement that works with and beneath her that anything anti-white in policing will be tolerated, and anything that isn't anti-white will not be tolerated. What do you think the ramifications for that are? She's signaling to all the law enforcement that she's responsible for and her peers that anything that is anti-white in policing will be tolerated. So beating the living hell out of the white guy for no reason, tolerated. Anything that's not anti-white won't be tolerated by her office. She is risking interagency cooperation. Very often, it's because of interagency cooperation that things like child predators are caught and arrested, drug lords, drug dealers, your dead family members from drugs. It is because of interagency cooperation that the drug dealers, the gang members, etc., are taken off the streets. She's risking that cooperation. She's undermining the cooperation. She is seditious. Philadelphia is a seditious city, and the federal government, in my opinion, should restore the order of law from top down. All of the officials that need to be arrested for sedition must be arrested for sedition immediately. And you could do the exact same thing with Philadelphia that you're doing with Venezuela. You want to play ball? The next head of the sheriffs want to play ball? Okay, then you get to have your job and the retirement package and the salary and the vacations and the clout and the authority, etc. You don't want to play ball? Okay, you can go to jail forever, and the next person in line can have that job. Jason, it can't be done. Maybe by you, dumbass. Stop trying to think for us. Stop trying to decide what needs to be done. What about this? I wrote this note to myself. What do you think the white people in her jurisdiction, how do you think the white people are treated? And every jurisdiction just like hers. Do you think you are going to get justice as a white person in her jurisdiction and every jurisdiction just like hers? You think you're going to get fair treatment? You think you're going to have recourse to complaints? Especially when those complaints or those objections, those calls to 911 are sicking the police on anti-whites or anti-white activity that she endorses with the moral law. White people aren't getting a fair shake. They're not going to get justice. They can't get justice in an environment like this. They can't be properly protected in an environment like this, and yet they'll pay for it. They'll be the ones who shell out the dollars to keep her in vacations and nice vehicles. What about all of the competent people that could have gone into policing, that can't go into policing, that couldn't go into policing? And what's the ramification for that out on the streets? What happens when so many of these incompetent people who got jobs because the jobs were white erased are actually criminals? We hear about it all the time in law enforcement. Actual criminals carrying out criminal activities with a badge as a consequence of anti-whiteism and white erasure. How safe are the white neighborhoods? I wonder how many white neighborhoods don't get the policing that they should have in her jurisdiction and all the jurisdictions like hers. I wonder how many times people have called from neighborhoods that are predominantly white and have said, we've got people stealing packages off the front porch. We have people looking in the windows of homes. We have malefactors roaming up and down the streets that don't live here. We need some occasional police to show up and drive through the neighborhood to scare these people off. I wonder what the response is in her jurisdiction. That's just the white neighborhood. Who cares what happens to them? And then what happens when they don't get the policing that they pay for to show up with a presence so the malefactors are run out of the neighborhood? Do we have robberies? Do we have property damage? Do we have murder? Do we have rape? Got all of it in her jurisdiction. You have so many people in the white sympathetic sphere who can't compute a fraction of this. But they'll feign to tell me what needs to be done. They'll feign to tell me, oh, it's a problem with this or a problem with it. They'll feign to come and tell me what needs to be done. Sure. Rachelle Bilal unleashed a blistering attack on U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement on Thursday, branding the federal agency fake, made-up law enforcement, and threatening war on the ICE agents who set foot in her jurisdiction, that they will face arrest if they set foot. Sheriff Bilal, who has faced numerous controversies during her tenure, didn't mince words. Repeatedly attacked the legitimacy of ICE, noting that they are a private army for the White House. I wonder what the ramifications for that will be. Telling tens of millions of psychotic anti-whites that federal law enforcement is a private army of Donald Trump. Agents being killed. That's what will happen. Can you see it now? White wife and mother of children who loves her husband dearly. They depend on his salary. They depend on their health insurance, depends on him. and she gets a call and he's dead because some anti-white garbage assassinated him because he is one of Trump's racist soldiers from Trump's private army. Perhaps the most disturbing part of the sheriff's tirade was the direct threat of physical confrontation against federal officers. Bilal warned that her officers would not hesitate to use force against agents performing their duties. According to Bilal, the DA's office is fully prepared to lock up federal agents who attempt to deport criminal illegal aliens. Yep. This is absolute insurrection. She should be charged with treason. End of conversation. Tag me as no white guilt so I can see. Looks like entropy is working. Dude Bro Moment platform is working. Bilal, when she threatens bringing smoke, she is speaking as a spokesperson. Her people immersed in anti-whiteism will literally bring smoke. Smoke is a code word for arson and terror. Yeah, all kinds of violence. Exactly. That's said by Wild Herb Ways over here on Premium Rumble. You're 100% right. Bring the smoke. She's talking about violence. And anti-whites are going to get the message. Anti-whites at all levels get the message. What she means by that. Kristi Noem clashes with CNN's Jake Tapper over Minneapolis ICE shooting. You don't get to change the facts. Let me look at YouTube. YouTube was broken into 2 streams today because of the brownout. And so you'll watch the first stream for the beginning of our gathering today, and then the second for the remainder. The great Franklinator is here. Tocolo, she asks, do I believe, is she acting on her own or given a script? Acting on her own. I don't believe it. I know it. I know she's acting on her own. She is an anti-white, programmed with anti-whiteism within the anti-white narrative. This is a predictable outcome. She doesn't need to be told by a cabal somewhere to do X, Y, or Z. Marlene says, Jason has been right the whole time. I have been. I mean, how many proofs? You know, this is as close to walking on water as you can get. That's just a reality. Cool Bubba J Magic in the house. AOD is here. Hello and welcome. First Last is with us. Good to see you, brother. Kevin is here. Good to see you. Sonia is here. Good to see you. Marcus is here. Hello and welcome. Gladiator says, no, White Guilt, you are the most shadow banned because you are the church of truth. When you stop being shadow banned, I will draw concern. Yeah, you don't got to worry about that day. That's never happening. Peoplehood is the genuine threat to the system. It's the only threat to the system. So they won't talk about it. They won't let people know about it. And they won't allow people to hear the messaging. Any genuine threat to the system is suppressed. Not going to be written up in Rolling Stone. Not going to be in Time Magazine. Not going to be allowed to have millions of followers on X or any platform. Absolutely not. Just look at Iran. Do they allow genuine threats to the system? No one does. Wing of Productions is here. Good to see you. Green Devil is here. Hello and welcome. First Lad says, I'm listening to you, Jason. I appreciate it, brother. Yeah, so if you didn't hear, Ross, the agent who had to try to save his life by shooting Good, and of course then she died, as you know, his family has had to go into hiding. The anti-whites set up a GoFundMe for her wife. Now, it's being reported before I mention the rest of that sentence. And you'll have to check it out for yourself, subject to later reportage, that Good's children are not in her custody. They're in the father's custody. And the claim about this is that they're in the father's custody because the wife, Good's wife, was beating them and putting cigarettes out on their arms. I don't know if that's true, subject to later reportage, but that's why they only have one child. It's the wife's child. Now, the anti-whites put together a GoFundMe up over $1 million like that. There is now a GoFundMe for Agent Ross and his family who have had to go into hiding because of this. The society can't function like this. You can't function when law enforcement officers' families have to go into hiding. Who's going to pay for this? His paycheck's not going to cover that. I don't know how much is going to come by way of their GoFundMe or Gifts and Go or whatever it is. But society can't function like this. We cannot continue to remain deracinated, isolated, selfish individualists as white people and think that we can count on an anomaly in the White House to uphold the laws that our biospirit projected onto the books. Because once the anomaly is gone, you're going to be left with this. The white race needs to become a people. And the only way to become a people is by using the concepts that create peoplehood out of our deracinated race. There is no amount, for Christ's sake, there is no amount of IQ scores, no amount of saying that you're a racist, no amount of talking about arrest records that's going to make the white race into a people. It is perfectly illogical to think so. And these people don't even think so. They don't even realize that that's the problem. Marcus is here. Hello. So how many agents now are we going to have the Ferguson effect with? How many agents in ICE and DHS, etc., are going to do anything they can to refrain from doing their job so that they don't end up in the worst places where the anti-whites are going to be at their strongest, where they don't have to engage with these people? Gladiator is saying she was in an incident where she was fleeing from police. Is that right? And they fired their guns, but then stopped because there was a possibility of them hitting each other. Yeah, the police will shoot you, and they have a right to. That's the reality you have to accept. They have the right to ratchet up the force to the point of you being dead. So you don't gotta like it. You could dislike it, but it's a reality. It's a reality as sure as the sun rising tomorrow. So here you have Kristi Noem clashes with CNN's Jake Tapper over Minneapolis ICE shooting. Here, this is important because it's the rewriting of history as soon as it happens. It's the fictionalizing of reality. Daughter of Eve is here on X. A bunch of others had written on X, and I could see all of it, but during the 2 brownouts, I lost all of those comments. So good to see all of you, and thank you all who reposted the stream, because no one is going to see it on X. No one. Otherwise, when I post it on my X account, no one sees it because of the shadow banning. It's not recommended anywhere. Nancy is here. Good to see you. First Last pointing out that was Jared's specialty. Exactly. Still is the specialty. So this is the fictionalization of reality, something you learn about when you go free. Tapper's trying to fictionalize what actually happened. The story changes. Good is just trying to get out of the way. She's trying to obey orders now. She's just trying to, and this agent just stepped in front of her. Stepped in front of his vehicle to give himself an excuse to shoot her. Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem got into a fiery clash with CNN anchor Jake Tapper on Sunday while defending Immigration and Custom Informer's fatal shooting of Renee Good, telling the anti-white host, not lefty. Is he a southpaw? Does he write with his left hand? And who cares? He's anti-white. That he can't change the facts, quote, change the facts just because he doesn't like them. Tapper grilled Noem about pull the license. Pull the license to CNN. Be done with this shit. The people are fed up. I think the population, I think MAGA would be fine with Trump pulling the license for CNN. Let's just have it go dark. You're not allowed to operate anymore. Everybody lost their job. Tapper grilled Noem about how she could make swift conclusions, such as calling Good a domestic terrorist. Easy. And defending ICE officer Jonathan Ross just hours after the shooting. Quote, everything that I've said has been proven to be factual. Noem shot back during an interview with CNN's State of the Union Sunday. I decided that the department and the people of this country deserve to know the truth of the situation of what has unfolded in Minneapolis. The CNN host then harped on Noem's initial reaction to the tragic shooting that took place. Not tragic at all. No more tragic than shooting dead any other terrorist. You know, it looked to me that this Renee looked directly into the eyes of the cop in front of her vehicle. She looked directly at him and slammed on the gas. That's what it appeared to me to be. But that doesn't matter, because reality is not where the human animal lives. That's what we teach you in Go Free. You need to understand this. Get the hell out if you're not interested in understanding it. The human animal does not live in reality. It lives in fictionalized reality and fiction, in the stories that are told. We have always had the power to decide what story we will be in and what words and concepts will be used with us. We've always had that power because we still have to be propagandized. They can't just put a gun at the back of our head and get what they want. But don't let Jason, whatever you do, don't let the Jason guy talk. Let's hear more from one of these days. I just have to give all the names of these people. I don't know if I want to wait until, I don't know. But don't let him talk. Instead, let's hear this person give another treatise on how bad the Jews are or what happened during this completely immaterial period in history. Let's hear that instead. So it doesn't matter what you can see, is the point here. It doesn't matter your lying eyes. It doesn't matter. Because if Trump wasn't an anomaly, Trump, by the way, Trump won, this would have gone anti-white. Anomaly Trump is the only reason it's not. If anomaly Trump wasn't in the White House, then it wouldn't matter what you saw with your eyes. Tapper and the rest of the mainstream media, the establishment media, and the professors at universities, students, white students at universities would be writing their essays or their doctoral theses, and they'll be saying, well, look, according to the data, and we have all of these angles, and they'll cite all of the data, they'll show the video, and then those students will, they'll get a fail grade for their essay. They'll lose an opportunity to get their doctorate. They'll never get their doctorate. They'll be thrown out of college. And then the whole conservative world will say, that's not fair. Look at all the citations, even if you disagree. You're allowed to make an argument. Freedom of speech. Sick of this shit. So sick of it. ICE officers were attempting to push out their vehicle, and a woman attacked them, and those surrounded them and attempted to run them over. Said, no, that's not what happened, Tapper insisted. Later implying that his gripe was with the notion that Good attacked the ICE officer. It absolutely is what happened, Noam fired back. She blocked the road and was yelling at them and impeding federal law enforcement operation. If I were in charge, and I would tell the agents, anybody impede, immediate arrest, ram their car out of the way. Do not allow them to impede you. You do not know what they're getting ready to do. You do not know if the purpose of slowing you down and stopping you is so that somebody with a rifle can get a bead on you. Not going to wait for that. I'm going to teach these people right away. You will not impede law enforcement. So was Renee trying to, what was the intent from the beginning to run over and then back up over and run over an agent? I don't think so. I'm confident that this cop was in her way. There was another at her door saying, get out, you're now under arrest because you're impeding our duties. And she decided, damn to the ICE agent in front of me, I'm leaving. Even if that means that my front left fender is going to hammer this guy on my way out of here. That's what I believe was going through. That's what I'm confident was going through her head. In my opinion. For the ear against the door. And she paid for it. And my opinion of that is good. Good. It's good that Good had to pay for it. Looking right at the cop. Look at where this guy's standing. Footage from multiple angles showed the tense confrontation between Ross and Good last Wednesday. Good, a mother of 3, who are, I understand, not in her care or custody, had stopped her car in the street, blocking the officers from moving forward for more than 3 minutes. Now, something that lends credence to the reportage that those 3 Good's children are not in her care, that they are in the care of the father, is the wife was videotaped saying that they have a 6-year-old son. That's her son, not Good's. So what about the other kids? So right after the incident, when the wife is crying and on the video and saying it's her fault repeatedly, and maybe she's saying that because she was saying, floored, go, 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 or whatever it was that was caught on audio. Check it out for yourself. Maybe she feels responsible because of that. Wouldn't she say, we have 4 kids. They've all just lost one of their mothers. No, she didn't say that on the video. She said, we have a 6-year-old. So not sure why New York Post would point out that she's a mother of 3, blocking the officers from moving forward. The officers got out to confront her. Ross had been at the front of the car when suddenly Good accelerated. He bolted out of the way, firing off a shot at her windshield, and then appeared to pop 2 more at the side of the SUV. Noam claimed Ross later received treatment at a nearby hospital for being hit by the vehicle. Tapper grilled Noam about why she was so certain that Good wasn't trying to move her car and flee and get away. She was told that's what happened. And she didn't give a damn about hitting a police officer. And the police officer has every right to shoot you dead if you're using your vehicle in a way that could kill him or her. Quote, the facts of the situation on the vehicle was weaponized, and it attacked the law enforcement officer. He defended himself, and he defended those individuals around him. Are there going to be, talk about Ferguson effect, are there going to be officers that are going to be slow to draw and shoot an anti-white when the anti-white is threatening the life or the lives of their colleagues now for fear that it's going to become this? We see what happen all the time, where one police officer has to shoot a criminal dead before the criminal kills another cop. Are these anti-white terrorists now going to be allowed or enabled, I should say, to kill other law enforcement? Because now some agent's going to hesitate. Maybe it's not just going to be some agents, some other law enforcement that get killed. Maybe it's going to be a couple of cops and you in your car driving by as the terrorist flees. Your wife, maybe with your kids in her car, that gets hit and killed as the terrorist flees. Will it be okay then? When there's something that is weaponized to use against the public and law enforcement, that is an act of domestic terrorism. You don't get to change the facts. Finally, we have here Iran protest death toll rises as alarm grows over crackdown massacre, it's being claimed. Now, when it comes to Iran and what's happening there, we get the sanitized version of what the federal government wants us to see. Russia's population is going to get the sanitized version of what the Russian government wants the population to see and understand and know. China is going to get a sanitized version of what they want their population to see and understand and know. So what does that mean about what we can know about what's going on in Iran? It means we can't know jack shit. We can talk broadly about the phenomenon of revolution. We can talk broadly about the radical Islam taking over Iran in 79. Talk broadly about the Shah and the Shah being deposed. We could talk broadly about these things. They don't have a huge impact on the well-being of our people. It's a regional issue. Maybe Trump will do the right thing. If he decides that he wants to go into Iran, well, let's go ahead and carve us out a little section of the richest oil. Let's do that. I don't care. But here's being reported, 192 protesters have been. You'll find seemingly countless content creators on the internet right now that are going to provide you their opinions on what's happening in Iran. And then you're going to have a bunch of people on Spaces that are rank midwits giving their opinions and arguing intensely over things they have no control over, and they probably have all of the information wrong. Think about how futile and Claudine Gay that really is. Think about what a waste of time that is. So this is all in the news right now. They're saying a bunch of up to 2,000 protesters have been killed. That's the claim right now. Maybe. I could see a regime of wanting to hold on to power, killing that many, killing fewer, killing more. Maybe. I'm definitely not going to side with Iran because they don't like Israel. Really don't care. We need to be serving the interests of white well-being in all cases, in our circles of influence. Not abstractly, not even though, you put together a widget at a law office, or you assemble widgets in an actual widget factory, and you're going to give your opinion about what should be done. Who gives a shit? Why are you such a child? What happened to the white race? This is saying 192 protesters have been killed in the biggest movement against the Islamic Republic. You know what I also saw? I saw one claim by conservatives saying that men and women were shimmying up light poles in Iran and then shimmying out over the horizontal bar to cut the wires on the cameras. And they had one video of what definitely appeared to be a male doing this. Women and men? Really, conservatives? Really? Well, they must have a different sort of female over there in Iran. If they're climbing up those light poles, the ladies, the females, and then across the horizontal, I'm going to call some bullshit on that. So they got a photo of one person doing this, one guy. As warnings grew that authorities were committing a massacre to quell the demonstration. The protesters, initially sparked by anger over rising costs of living, have now become a movement against the theocratic system in place in Iran since 1979 and has already lasted 2 weeks. The massive rallies are one of the biggest. So if they are, just as a by the by, if they're not allowed to hold rallies, then how are they holding rallies? If they're killing them, then why aren't they going home? Don't have a dog in the fight. Don't care. Iran should be forced to compensate American taxpayers, as far as I'm concerned, for the weaponry that the American government uses there. Those Moabs and those flights from B-2s and everything else, they cost us a lot of money. So we're going to set up a few oil drills while we're there. We're going to get our tax dollars back. These people who are enemies of all things Jewish, that claim to be for the white race, really they're just anti-Jew. They would shriek in horror at what I just said. How could you do that to the good Iranian? Go to hell. Since the start of the protest, Iran Human Rights has confirmed the killing of at least 192. Norway-based non-governmental organization. All of this, this agency or that agent. Do you believe any of that shit? Because if you do, I will happily sell you a lot of invisible things. It's going to cost you a lot of money. Videos of large demonstrations in the capital, Tehran, and others. I saw a video where it was clearly AI because they had the lights from people's cell phones from like 300 feet up were super bright. I mean, who can believe this shit? The past 3 nights have filtered out, despite the internet cut that has rendered impossible normal communication with the outside world. I wonder how they filtered out with the internet cut. Video verified by the AFP showed large crowds taking to the streets in new protests on Saturday night. So apparently they're allowed to protest. Several circulating videos, which have been verified by AFP, allegedly showed relatives in a Tehran morgue identifying. How many times have we seen these videos of the morgues? Okay, so bottom line, we'll wrap it up where we started. Everything that you're going to hear in the American press is designed and sanitized for the American population. Everything in the Chinese press, everything in the Korean press, designed, sanitized for their population. Whatever they need their population to know about what's happening in Iran that benefits those who are in charge. Period. You're not going to get more truth or less truth by going abroad and looking for the news in different countries. So all of these content creators that people are going to be spending countless hours on, imbibing their opinions and their conclusions and their findings and predictions about everything that's happening, are wasting their time. Every single one of them. Spike is here and he says he's watching with a friend for her first time. Well, hello to your friend for her first time. I'm introducing her to the Going Free and trying to explain how important our dialectic is and how to use it in everyday life. Well, hey, you can see the huge victory of Nathan Lentini and how everything can be throttled up and throttled down in every conversation in our circles that we personally can influence. Absolutely. It's a great time to show up since we have an enormous victory. And we got a bunch of victories coming up, ladies and gentlemen, like you wouldn't believe. Musk is returning to the Go Free community yet again. It is the number of victories we have seemingly endless. It was a big, big week. And we're going to take a very short break and be back with the rest of our items we have here, our swashbuckling celebrations, and so much more right after this.
American schools are hotbeds of anti-American brainwashing. Teachers and administrators are trained to indoctrinate and enforce ideological conformity. Submission is the norm. Crucible is the true story of one schoolboy's struggle against society's obsession with an anti-American ideology. This young man refused to surrender to the psychological abuse of his superiors and the violence of his peers. In Crucible, Child, Patriot, American Victory. Two visions of America collide. One is left standing.
document, the anti-white says. What exactly is anti-white? You have got to be animated with the righteous passion of reclaiming our destiny. We are the heroes of this era. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into the victories this week. Let me know that you can hear me okay. Swashbuckling, Thus Spoke Zarathustra by Friedrich Nietzsche. Quote, and those who were seen dancing were thought to be insane by those who could not hear the music. Folks, they don't know why we celebrate, and that's because they don't understand what victory looks like. Well, this, my friends, is what it looks like. Look at that. We'll get to that in a moment. We'll get to this in a moment. Take a look at Anglo-Saxon NWG. Raucous emojis, quadruple 07s, crowns and gems for these heroes. 10.3 thousand people, ladies and gentlemen. 10.3 thousand people are liberated in the audience of Concannon. Give it up for Anglo-Saxon NWG. Liberated from anti-whiteism. Here we have Anti-Vilification League getting his comment liked by David Adler, who is a Jew, a popular Jew in Australia. And Anti-Vilification League here is using, let's see, white erasure in this. And this guy, even though he's not white, I think that's what he uses here. Oh, no, anti-whiteism. So even though he is using, this guy's a Jew, Anti-Vilification League can use anti-whiteism, and this guy can agree with it and say, yes, Australia is being destroyed by anti-whiteism. Give it up for Anti-Vilification League. Cool Papa J Magic, ladies and gentlemen. 180 people liberated in the audience of History Debunked. Remember to come back and read what these heroes are writing, because it is that important. They are right. They are on the money. This is how you save Western kind. Cool Papa J Magic liberating 404 people, 47 replies in the audience of Leonarda Joni. Take a look at how magnificent this swashbuckling commander is in his comments. Cool Papa J Magic again, giving people the white magic of the Go Free dialogic in the audience of Liberal Hive Mind. He writes, anti-whiteism at the center of all of this. When are the conservatives going to man up and start taking this seriously? 270 people and counting have been liberated from anti-whiteism by seeing the concepts that free our people individually and free our people collectively, creating a people out of our deracinated race. Cool Papa J Magic in the audience of Liberal Hive Mind again. Another nearly 200 people empowered with Go Free. Cool Papa J Magic again in the audience of Lotus Eaters, working on 400 people in that audience empowered with the white magic of Go Free. Cool Papa J Magic again in the audience of Salty Cracker, rescuing nearly 400 people and climbing with the white magic of Go Free. Here you have a German content creator using anti-white. Is that what it is there? In his using anti-white ideology. Right there is where it says it. Give it up for this Herr Haus. Ladies and gentlemen, anti-white ideology from the wild. Here we have Paul Zaipula reaching 12,000 people with the white magic of Go Free in the audience of Elon Musk. The spaces, the Shade Tree spaces, ladies and gentlemen, have been off the freaking hook. This is one of them from this week. 213 tuned in live. Give it up for the great Hans and everyone over there at the Shade Tree. Oh, you got this coming up as well, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, indeed. Stop anti-whiteism here on Instagram. So he is a radical anti-white. Look at this. 4,864 people empowered by the great Stop anti-whiteism. Give it up for this hero swashbuckling commander, ladies and gentlemen. Here you have Vance himself using anti-white hatred. And this was found by the great Lunda down under. The magic spreads, ladies and gentlemen. Biospirit of the West. 7,500 and climbing in the audience of Aesthetica that are empowered with white well-being. Biospirit of the West. The OT leader back again. 7,000 more empowered in the audience of... is that Jur? Give it up for the Biospirit of the West. Biospirit of the West again. Over 6,000 empowered with the white magic of Go Free in the audience of U.S. Foreign Assist. Epically done. These official accounts for the government. We did that, what you see on your screen right now, ladies and gentlemen. Celebrate yourselves for that. Let's keep it going by celebrating the great Franklinator and the great Biospirit of the West for all the hard work that they do in service to white well-being. True heroes. Everybody that heads on over to the Donald Trump Jr. stream, which is the vector by which we got anti-white into the mouth of Donald Trump. We celebrate from this past week. Franklin was there. Justin McDaniel was there. Robert was there. Biospirit of the West was there. Diplomat for Western Kind. Anglo-Saxon NWG and the Ivan. Celebrate them all. Quadruple 07s for these heroes, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure they know how much you love them for the hard work that they are doing. Let's also recognize, ladies and gentlemen, the meme mavens who've been creating all these magnificent memes that are being taken by people out in the wild and promulgated. The best memes on the entire internet. Our meme mavens to celebrate, ladies and gentlemen, are Western Kind 007, Dandy Westman, Base White, Jay Bishop, Stop Anti-Whiteism, Biospirit of the West, Tree Godfather, Justin McDaniel, Dallas Malloy, Diplomat for Western Kind, Franklin, and Hoyt McCoy, as well as, did I get Anglo-Saxon NWG? And if I didn't say Anglo-Saxon NWG, then yes, he is there, as well as Shannon Oliver, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for our meme mavens. Changing the world. We see these memes showing up in the wild. These accounts that just grab the meme, they save it. They're like, this is power. This is fire. And then they go share it in their accounts, and the white magic spreads. Give it up for the meme mavens. Let's celebrate. Next week, I'm going to have the video. We didn't have it available for this week. We had a technical glitch. Next week, I'll have it available. Problematic Biospirit, ladies and gentlemen. Give the man some big salutes. Show him some love. He got in on the Owen Schroyer show with a super chat. He wrote, forget left and right. Forget circles. Forget finding something to call woke. If you are still complaining about men and women and have not, being men being women and have not even tried to get an anti-whiteism bill made, you are a neocon. Owen Schroyer read and agreed, ladies and gentlemen. Give it up for Problematic Biospirit. Epically done, my brother. Epic swashing. Give it up, ladies and gentlemen, on your feet for Dandy Westman. Dandy Westman traveled to go meet in person Casey Putsch, running for governor of Ohio, as you know. Dandy writes this: I was able to meet Casey Putsch. He says, I stumbled over my words a little bit, but I got to talk with him, and I personally gave him a copy of Go Free and asked that he take a sincere reading of it. I offered the book as a gift when I told him about it, so they had to take my name and the monetary value because of the technicality of it being considered a campaign donation. So some of his team handled the book as well. We'll see what happens. Let's give it up for Dandy Westman, IRL. Ladies and gentlemen, we all know we reviewed Casey and a little bit of his video and the good that he can do with the Go Free lexicon and dialectic. Dandy made it happen in the real world. God bless you, Dandy Westman. Big salutes, mama. Big salutes. Raucous emojis. Let's keep this rolling. Diplomat for Western Kind over here on Twitter. 5,400 empowered in the audience of Fist Matters. Diplomat for Western Kind back again. 2,500 more people empowered with the white magic in the audience of Poi Atreides. Diplomat for Western Kind again. 4,500 more empowered in the audience of Radio Genoa. Gene, ladies and gentlemen, I had to share this. He says, setting up a Western-style biospirit corner in my home. Do you have one too? Let's share photos and ideas. I love this. Look at how epic this is. Give it up for Gene. A spiritual corner, bio-spiritual corner for the West, looking glorious. Justin McDaniel getting up on the scoreboard this week with 3,400 people and climbing in the audience of Eric Doherty. Justin's kicking ass. I got to say, almost everywhere I go, I find James. Let's hear it for James as well. Swashbuckling commanders. Salty Lass from the wild, talking about our memes that we make. Look at this beautiful meme. She reached 501 people and counting in the audience of Ospill. Well done, Salty Lass. Cool, Bubba J Magic. 1,366 empowered in the audience of Taya. The swashbuckling commanding diplomat for Western Kind is not to be stopped. 4,400 plus empowered with white magic in the audience of Radio Genoa. Cool Papa J Magic comes back with another score of his own, working on 10,000 empowered in the audience of Asian Dawn. Selena from the Wild, 23,000 people empowered. She writes here, they not left-wing, they're anti-white. Yes. Give it up. 2,600 empowered by the Tree Godfather in the audience of Eric Doherty. Tree Godfather on the scoreboard, ladies and gentlemen. Cool Papa J Magic says he's not done. 1,213, almost 1,300 more empowered by the coolest swashbuckling generals, empowering in the audience of Leonardo Joni. Look at this from the wild. Maple MAGA. Take a look at that meme, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, yes. This is what happens. This is what happens when you produce the best. And there's the website. Well done. Audience has taken a breath. And this was in the audience of Elon Musk from the wild. We will have so many accounts from the wild using the lexicon, using the memes in Elon's audience that he's not going to be able to resist. Finding his way over forever. Justin McDaniel says, I'm still on the field, coach. I got another 1,192 to liberate in the audience of Libs of TikTok. Diplomat for Western Kind streaks to the end zone with 11,000 more empowered in the audience of Jur. Diplomat for Western Kind. Remember that meme? 3,000 more empowered in the audience of Val. We are hitting so many different content creators, promulgating the lexicon and the dialectics that liberate. Diplomat for Western Kind came to liberate 1,521 in the audience of Teya. We're having a rocking week. Justin McDaniel, his week continues gloriously. 3,722 empowered in the audience of Rupert Lowe, MP, who we have swashed on and gotten him to use some of the lexicon. Take a look at this. John from the Wild. Look at the meme. And he empowered 900 people in the audience of Elon Musk. Another from the Wild. And look at Biospirit of the West is right in there under. Another from the Wild. Tross the General. It's anti-white. Anti-white is not okay. DEI is anti-white. Working up to 10,000 views from this account in the wild, ladies and gentlemen. Almost 60,000 followers. And he doing this in the audience of Elon Musk. You swashbuckling commanders and generals and admirals are doing this. Special warfare operators. Drew Pavlu, ladies and gentlemen, using anti-white. And he's almost up to 50,000 views. Give it up for Drew. Another from the wild, Snuggle, writes, I hate everything about this situation. A young woman's life was lost because she cared more about supporting white erasure than her own 6-year-old son. Give it up for Snuggle. 400 people empowered with her tweet, ladies and gentlemen. How totally epic is that? Anglo-Saxon and WG. 3,000 people empowered by Anglo-Saxon and WG in the audience of Matt Van Swole. Diplomat for Western Kind, still on the field, eager to get on the scoreboard with another nearly 4,000 empowered in the audience of I am yes, you are no. Keep those raucous emojis going. Red Baron from the wild, using one of our glorious memes, empowering nearly 1,200 in the audience of Department of State. Biospirit of the West on the field, scoring again 3,272 empowered in the audience of Basil the Great. Biospirit of the West in there again, 2,271 more empowered in American AF's audience. Diplomat for Western Kind, bequeathing the white magic of Go Free to 3,422 people in the audience of Hugh Anthony. Anglo-Saxon NWG, 10,000.7 in the audience of Daniel Concanon, empowered with the white magic. CKO, empowering 1,162 with white magic in the audience of Jared Taylor. Red Baron again from the wild, another one of our memes, working on 500 empowered in the audience of Chad Crowley. Ivan Zahagabul, 4,441 liberated from anti-whiteism in the audience of Christmas Brick. Chad Crowley, ladies and gentlemen, using white erasure right here. Give it up for Chad Crowley using white erasure to 355,000 people this week. Give it up for Chad. From the wild, Eric DeCastro writes, actively promoting white erasure. And look at what the sign says. Where did that come from? Give it up for Eric, ladies and gentlemen, reaching 9,300 plus people this week in the audience of Taya. Chaos. Bowsy. Let's see, what does Chaos Bowsy use? White erasure right there. The white erasure of Ireland. Beautifully done. From the wild. 246 liberated and climbing in the audience of Sinn Féin. They desperately need to hear it. Here we have John Denver from the wild using white erasure. 313 people empowered and growing in the audience of Carl. Justin McDaniel standing on top of the scoreboard. 4,000 more people empowered in the audience of National Conservative. Diplomat for Western Kind standing shoulder to shoulder with Justin. 13,000 more people empowered in the audience of Taya. Another content creator from the wild, Doe. Doe-si Doe. Look at that beautiful meme. Talk about our meme mavens. 504. Look at the Tree Godfather, Diplomat for Western Kind. We're everywhere. And this in the audience of Bruce. Give it up for these accounts from the wild. Another one from the wild. Anthea. 1,800 empowered by this account in the wild. In the audience of Elon Musk. Anglo-Saxon NWG. Anti-white propaganda at work, he writes. 1,000 plus people gifted the white magic of Go Free in the audience of Taya. Here's Taya herself. It's not white supremacy to be against white erasure. Oh, yes. Yes, and then here's Kevin McDonald's. You should go speak with Jared Taylor, the godfather of white advocacy. Anglo-Saxon, I wanted you all to see what he wrote here. It is perfectly written. You'll have to screenshot it and come back to read it. And why anti-whites despise ICE. This is brilliantly written. Genius of our swashbucklers. Check it out. I would read it, but we got to keep moving, ladies and gentlemen. And then we have this, a victory within a victory. Will Tanner tweeting this meme. Again, credit to the meme mavens. It's got the website in it. It's got our lexicon. Give it up for Will Tanner. And give it up for Elon Musk, who retweeted Will Tanner. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a victory of epic proportions inside of a victory of epic freaking proportions. Elon Musk retweeting another one of our memes. Again, to the tune of 5 million people, ladies and gentlemen. 5 million people. And I have to find our videos for today. Give it up for Will Tanner and Elon Musk, who is going free. Ladies, he'll announce it sooner than later. But now we have the Tree Godfather and our very good friend Andrew Branca.
The Tree Godfather, import anti-white, scant anti-white behavior. The only way to protect the U.S., keep these seditionists out in the first place, enforce our norms, prison. Yeah, the only way to prevent third world deprivation of your first world culture is not to allow them access to the first world culture.
Give it up for the Tree Godfather, swashing on Andrew Branca. Andrew, give it up for Andrew. Epic, both of these gentlemen. Men of the West, show them some love, ladies and gentlemen. So very proud of them both. And keep it going for Andrew himself, a compilation that he is sharing
now. The white guilt ends now. The guy who controls this platform. And by the way, the fact that we can talk this freely on X, in my view, as a content creator, appears to bleed over to other platforms too, including the one you're probably watching this video on right now, which is YouTube. The Tree Godfather, he's a member of this community. He posted this up. We're ending anti-whiteism one Westman at a time. Western man, I presume. Anti-whiteism, thoughts, actions, and policies hostile to white people. You may not realize it, but you've been immersed in this your entire life. I've been immersed in it my entire 61 years. By the way, there's a link there if you want to check it out. NoWhiteGuilt.org. I've not been there. Fair warning, but maybe worth checking out. Who wants America to look like this? Except maybe with more kids in the image?
Oh.
I do. I like this picture.
I mean,
this is the culture. This is the society I want my children to grow up in and have their children grow up in. So, of course, we know we've been immersed in anti-whiteism, in genocidal white hate for generations. It's amazing. And it's been both subtle and explicit. In fact, it's
so
we're
epic.
so immersed. It's like a fish being in water.
Yes.
You can forget that it exists.
Epic. And now, ladies and gentlemen, for our final, Stefan Molyneux.
So, and now that the Trump administration has unraveled all of the absolute anti-white male hellscape of DEI and, quote, diversity, which is not diversity at all, but just anti-whiteism.
Oh, yes!
Now they're saying, oh, maybe we went a bit too far.
Yes!
How does that help people?
Yes, yes. Ladies and gentlemen, rock it out. We will be right back. Oh my freaking God, what a week that we have had, ladies and gentlemen. Huge content creators talking about white well-being, anti-whiteism, white erasure. We're seeing it everywhere. Elon Musk, how many of our tweets and our content creators is he going to be giving likes to and retweeting? We love it. The algorithm shuts down white well-being, but the trillionaire at the top of it is stepping in to let his opinion be known. Let's see what we have here to celebrate. Let's go ahead and celebrate the Dude Bro moment. He is here over here on the Dude Bro moment platform, ladies and gentlemen. 007's Crowns and Gems for Dude Bro moment. Dude Bro moment is like a heartbeat. The guy never quits. $50. He's financially gifting today, and he's writing for white well-being. God bless you, the great Dude Bro moment. Keep it going. Keep those celebrations going. 007's rugged emojis, gems and crowns for Flame of the West. $25. $25 he financially gets over here on Entropy, and he writes as well for white well-being. God bless you, good brother. We're going to hit the celebration financial gifts, and then we will come back to all of them and your comments and the rest of what we have here today. Keep it going, ladies and gentlemen, for the one and only, the man who gifts $50, even though he might be in between shifts sleeping in his car. Corey, $50, and he writes, thanks for your service to white well-being. 07, big 07 to you too, my brother. God bless you for your service. It's an honor to stand shoulder to shoulder with all of you. Let me make sure I did not miss any. We have the mailbag, thaumatological mailbag. We had a piece of mail, ladies and gentlemen, to get into the thaumatological mailbag here. And before we jump into that mail, we have, ladies and gentlemen, Blush 2000 over here on Premium Rumble, financially gifting $20. Raucous emojis for Blush. Thank you so very much for the financial gift. And Blush writes, thank you, Jason. Well, big thank you to you as well. Thank you so very much for that. That was earlier in our gathering when we were celebrating, and awesome. So very perfect. Perfect timing. Great to see you, and thank you. Let me just make sure. Okay, back to the thaumatological mailbag. That is the thaumatological mailbag. We have, ladies and gentlemen, give it up for two of our good friends here George and Gina financially gifting $25. $25. A beautiful gift here. Your thoughtfulness meant so much to us, and I just want you to know I truly appreciate. Thank you for all you do for white well-being. George and Gina. Look at this beautiful card, ladies and gentlemen. For God bless the both of you. Thank you so very much. How pretty is that? That's going to go up. George and Gina, what absolute heroes. Here we go. Thank you so much for that. Folks, we've almost made it. We have fought brownouts. Do you know we had 2 major brownouts and we've had like 5 other minor. I have no idea what's going on here in Northern Virginia outside of Mordor on the Potomac. But somehow we have kept the lights on, we've kept it together, and we've made it work, even though we're always facing uphill odds, aren't we? But we keep making it work. We keep succeeding. I want to also give a big thank you to Gene. We were just looking at that awesome space that you created in your house. $5. He's coming in over here on Entropy with a $5 bill. Thank you so much, Gene. And he writes, white well-being forever. Everybody needs a place in their home, just like you were building, brother. I love that. The great Gene. Let me check on the dashboard on Entropy since we had so many brownouts, just to make sure I'm not missing anybody. Okay, good. Not missing anybody. Let's head over to D Live and what's happening over there. Oh, nice. Bayonet has given us the scene from the 300, where King Leonidas is kicking what was he, an Assyrian or whatever, the emissary, down the bottomless pit. That's right. That's what we do. That's what Nathan Lentini did to that anti-white POS. Get your tags into me, @, no white guilt, no spaces, so I can see what you have to say. Okay, the Dallas is informing me that the Elon post is now up to 6.5 million views. It was at 5 million where we viewed it. The victory within a victory. This is such a victory of our meme mavens. I think the meme mavens all need to stand up and take a bow. It is such a glorious victory. Unbelievable. Big salutes to the meme mavens. You all are doing, this is the best work ever done on the internet. This is internet stopping level work. You've got the richest man in the world continually liking and reposting the memes from this community. We have the and what did that? It is the lexicon and the dialectic that empowers. These people are taking on the meme pathogen ideas, the poisons in their brains, and they're seeing clearer and clearer by the day as a consequence of it. We're going to be talking about your potential to power, your PTP, here in just a moment for our lesson of the day. You need to increase your PTP. You can do so only with the Go Free Dialogic, ladies and gentlemen. You are kept down by the poisonous ideas. We have here, keep the celebration going. 007s, Rogus emojis, crowns and gems. First, last. $40 from First, Last, ladies and gentlemen. He writes, celebrate me twice. For 2 $20 bills. 2 20s. Give him 2 times the celebration for First, Last. God bless you, brother. Good to see you. $40, 2 Andrew Jacksons. A celebration twice as big. Crowns and gems. Show him some love. We also have Weldon over here with a $5 bill. God bless you, Weldon. $5 bill. And he writes, God bless. Perfectly. Thank you so very much. All right. Make sure we are blank over here on subscribe. So are we okay? We didn't miss anybody. I need to get a little bit of water. We'll be up. That tweet will be up to 7 million in no time of people seeing the language, the concepts that liberate them, liberate their own mind from the anti-white poison. And then they are able, simultaneously while liberating themselves, to liberate those in their circles of influence, which 6 Ways to Kevin Bacon travels twice as fast through the population. This is how everything is changing. Man, God bless the work of all of these champions. Biospirit of the West is over here on X. Says YouTube is glitching so bad for him that he had to switch over to watch the gathering today on X. And he says, another epic week of Team White Wellbeing. This from the OT leader. And he has seen many a great weeks. Really means something. Give it up for the outreach team of Go Free, ladies and gentlemen, the OT. God bless you, Biosphere. Thank you for coming over and saying that. Well. We have one announcement that I wanted to share today, and that is that this past Wednesday, Hank, during our Rebel Roundtable, did you miss it? Do you not participate in the Rebel Roundtable? Do you listen to it when it's over? On every Wednesday, after we wrap up Church of the West, which begins at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I immediately begin a X space called the Rebel Roundtable. And you're able to come in there and get the microphone, share your views, give some of your observations, ask me questions, ask questions of others who are present. You hear from a lot of insightful people. And Hank showed up and he said he would like to play a little game. And since I often will mention, or from time to time will mention, that I can play the role of an anti-white, and I'll tell you why I'm able to do that and how and why that's important to me, able to play the role of an anti-white. Since I say this, then would I be willing to have a little role reversal? He would play a white person from one of the other strategies, and I would play the anti-white in the conversation. And so I said, let's do it. He asked a number of questions, and I responded to those questions as an anti-white. Hank then said, all I got to say is, thank God you're on our side. I liked that. I was appreciated. But when he said that, there was somebody else, a fellow named Protector, who advocates for white people as well, not in this community. Hopefully he'll come around and join this community and take up the dialogic and win as we would like and need him to win in the world. And he said, I can debunk every single argument that Jason just made. And so we let Hank finish up. And then this was a great opportunity. So we said, Protector, please go ahead and make your arguments. Well, I responded to those as an anti-white as well. And then I asked if Protector wanted to continue. He wanted to keep chatting about it. He said he needed a little bit more time to think of some responses. And then he came back and he was respectful and he had some more arguments. And I countered those arguments as an anti-white. And I think those people who observed the role reversal can share their opinion on, was the anti-white winning the conversation? I think so. I think kind of in a big way, the anti-white was winning the conversation, won the arguments. But it went well. And everybody was thanked for their participation. And then we moved on with the rest of the space. I have pulled the audio of that segment, and I think I'll maybe post that on my Telegram and then direct people from Twitter and elsewhere if they would like to listen to this role reversal and see what they think of how an anti-white played by yours truly with a high IQ, maybe not with all of the anti-white studies, and that's what makes it even more upsetting is when I don't have all the anti-white arguments and studies and references to history and things like that. I did wield a couple of anti-white references in the conversation. But when you don't have those, and yet I can still walk all over all of the other arguments that you can find in any of the other strategies with ease. And for an audience that is whom? Who is the audience? Well, it's our brothers and sisters. They would be heeding what the anti-white has to say. So I think I might do that maybe tomorrow, and then maybe talk about it at least a little bit on Wednesday if it garners some interest. But it's deeply important to know the anti-white arguments and kind of arguments also that they will make when you are in my position and you're creating a dialogic for our brothers and sisters. Because as Aristotle pointed out, you need to be able to argue your opponent's position perfectly for a couple of reasons. But when it comes to us, what's important is that I needed to be able to wield the anti-white arguments, fully understanding them in a way that defeated all of the other strategies up to that point, so that I could formulate the defeats for the anti-white arguments, which I've done. And so many of you have contributed. That's why we are the apostles of a new Western kind, a new dawn where the sun rises in the West. And it's because we heave it up into the sky on our shoulders. Very different than what you will find anywhere else. So I just wanted to let everybody know about that. And maybe in the future, we'll do some more of those. I think it's who will win is kind of fait accompli. If you're using the old arguments, any of the older strategies, I will just decimate you. That's the problem. I'll be nice about it, though. What epic victories this week. Look at these videos. How powerful. Let me take a look and see what you all are saying. Did I see? No, maybe I didn't. I do see the nameless one is here. First Last says, Jason could play a brilliant anti-white. Who knew? Oh, man. You really need to listen. It's not good. It's not good. I was really happy Protector showed up because Hank was not like going easy on me by any means. He brought it. But Hank's in the community. Hank's winning with Go Free everywhere he goes. Hank has had colossal victories for white well-being. But Protector, we didn't know him. And thankfully, he was a smart guy. He wasn't like some sort of grug dummy. He was a smart guy and he was respectful. And so I'm grateful that to the best of his ability with the tools he has, he's out there advocating for our people. And I'm grateful that he showed up and wielded those arguments against the anti-white version of Jason. And I hope he'll eventually realize the power that he can wield with the Go Free Dialogic and will come over. That would be epic. I think he would potentially make a great teammate. Cool Papa J Magic says, the Taya girl likes his comments very often. Is it only your comments that she likes, brother? I doubt it. He said, I practically lost my voice. I was not pleased when the power went out. I was most unpleased. Oh, man. Helios Abbott is here. JK160 is here. So he said, I mean, I can understand women swooning at all of the feet of these men of the West. How could they not? So he says, Taya girl likes my comments very often. I'm not a fan of the low-cut shirt, sultry look vibe of her pics, but she's doing more than so many for us by spreading the lexicon. Amen to that. Yeah, she was she the one with the, yeah, she was the one that she had a low cut top on. Yeah, I mean, she's spreading the lexicon. That's what matters. Henry is here. Good to see you, brother. He said, during the role reversal, I felt like the only winning chance I had was to get you to say something that wasn't going to win over a white audience. Well, there you have it. That's Hank. And it didn't happen. Everything I said, our white brothers and sisters would have heeded. Cool Papa was like, he didn't even finish my comment. I know. Everything went away when I was suddenly like, drugs? Everyone knows that when a guy can see cleavage, we lose half of our IQ per boob. All right, let's see if there are any other tags. It's nature. Correct. Franklin is making sure that I know that Kevin McDonald's is not my friend, Dr. Kevin McDonald. Yes, that's correct. Thank you for pointing that out, though. Maybe others might not have known that. It is not the Kevin McDonald. It's some guy that's been around forever in the white sympathetic sphere. I can remember, like, well, 10 years. Maybe I saw him as early as 10 years back online. Maybe not quite that. Maybe 7 years. But, you know, he's seen Go Free. He's seen the successes we have here. And then time and again, I see him online. New content creators show up, and he's immediately in their comments telling them to go get audience with all of these other people. Anybody but us. So what's up there? I mean, he seems, when I've had back and forth with him, conversation, seems like a nice enough guy. I'm guessing he's really old, and he is sunk cost fallacy. He got in back in the day under the tutelage of some of these misleaders and these strategies that they were plying. And so when those misleaders or new ones pop up and they apply the same failed strategies, he's just like, that's the way to go. Send everybody there. Except that hadn't worked for shit. Everything's gotten worse. I'm sick of it. And I was nice for so long. If I would have been brought in, if all of these people back in the day would have said, whoa, this guy's got some smart stuff, let's bring him in and let him speak. And I would have never had anything negative to say, except to, hey, if you're in this role in life, whatever your role might be, what do you think is going to work for you? Or is it going to be, are you going to have success telling people about how this race of people has a lower IQ, or are you going to have success? And then I would have not said anything negative. I went years and years of being shadow banned before there was internet, shadow banned by internet companies, by these platforms, by my friends. And I didn't say anything negative about them or their arguments, their strategies, their political parties. And I saw it go bad every single time. So I'm crotchety and cantankerous now. I'm fed up. We are so running out of time. And these people, there's never going to be, they've demonstrated that they don't have the normal morality and ethical behavior of the white race. Because in me, you have a guy that paid his dues and should be listened to. And if he has something of value, I've paid my dues. I have something of value. And we got this whole community of heroes. Now, how many years do we have to bring in the best? Do we recruit the absolute best? I mean, I feel like, like Biosphere to the West is a scout for our professional team. And he goes out into the world and he's like, bing, there's somebody, there's an athlete, there's an advocate that is totally exceptional, that is moral enough and smart enough and etc. to be able to step up to white well-being. And then bing, that person finds out about us and they step up. They leave all of the failed nonsense behind them. So how many years do we have to do that before they're finally like, all right, yep. And instead of them coming to terms with our successes, instead of that, they give credence to taboo grifters. They show up at taboo grifter syndicate events and legitimize with this whole multiracial mess of taboo grifters that are just poking the taboos in society from one week to the next. It's despicable. It's despicable. All right. Good to see everybody. Thank you all for hanging in there. They can't keep us down. With all of that weird browning out and all the stuff going on potentially in Iran, the stuff going on in Venezuela, I wonder. Nation's capital. Of course, the places that matter won't lose power, but Gideon Sanchez says, I love this show. It makes me want to sing and dance. I love that. Me too. As a matter of fact. And often I do sing. And often I do dance, actually. So yes, simpatico. Dude Bro Moment is in the live chat. Jay Bishop is here. And Gene is in the live chat. Azimuth Clark is here. If I missed any of our meme mavens, make sure that I know next month and make sure to get, it was not done intentionally if I missed you. So let me know. All right, scrolling along here, we'll get into our JK160 said, let's play some Fornull. Oh, we love Fornull. We love the Fornull tunes here. Although I don't have any Fornull queued up. All right, I don't see any other tags. And let's make sure I didn't miss anybody over here. Nope. What about over here? Any tags? Thank you to everyone who gave me feedback on the streaming malfunctions. I would set up a generator to run power, but if the power goes out, the internet's gone. So it wouldn't do me any good. Thank you to Rapunzel for letting people know. See, it's browning out right now. It's still browning out. For letting everybody to know that I would be right back. All right. I don't see any other tags. If you've tagged me and I missed it, let me know so that I can come back to you. The Go Free lesson of the day, your PTP. Do you know that you have a potential to power and that you don't reach it as a consequence of anti-whiteism? This is on page 103, second edition, iteration 2. You have a potential to power, and you are nowhere near that potential, physically, mentally, and spiritually. It's a consequence of the anti-white poisonous ideas that you've been infected with over the course of your life. If you doubt that that is the case, I understand it's because you were raised in the anti-white narrative. Simply change the race. Let's make it black people. Black people have learned in our mental exercise that from birth, that they have an evil seed inside of them, that their people have stolen everything from the world, that their people are persecutors, that their people are thieves, that their people are rapacious and have raped the world for all of its goods and natural resources and destroyed the natural environment. And that the only way they can be good, imagine teaching children this, is if they wage war on their own kind and thereby themselves. Imagine the psychological trauma, the spiritual trauma that would inflict on them. Do you think that black people reared in that environment from their childhood would be able to reach their potentials physically, mentally, and spiritually? Of course not. It seems so obvious when you think about it being another race. The reality that you felt maybe some doubt when you first heard that, or an outright revulsion, an outright rejection of that, is a proof that you grew up inside the anti-white narrative, that you've been infected with manifold, mean, pathogenic ideas, poisons that undermine you. So much of this you take for granted as your personality, as the world, as normalcy, the normative way that things are. But none of it's normal. None of it's normative. It is the fish in the deep sea unable to recognize that they are in a body of water. They've never known anything but the water. That's why it can be hard, a little jarring, to realize that this is a narrative, an anti-white narrative that we live in, and that you have to step outside of it if you are going to attempt to cure yourself, treat yourself for your victimization, and be able to address anti-whiteism in the world around you. PTP speaks to what otherwise would be who and what you are and able to achieve in the world. It's diminished by anti-whiteism. You claw back some of your potential to power as proof demonstrable in dozens, scores and scores and scores of testimonials of people improving themselves physically, mentally, and spiritually. This isn't some sort of weird mysticism. This isn't some sort of self-help. This is a really obvious, tangible thing. If you are undermined mentally, psychologically, spiritually, you cannot and will not be what you were capable. MP infection reduces your potential to power, PTP. In the simplest terms, your PTP is your ability to attain what you want. More fully, your PTP is the aggregate of your biospiritual potential to manifest, attain, and satisfy your desires. The boundaries of your personal abilities are defined by both internal and external factors. Internally, it is your unique biospiritual architecture that establishes the limits of your potential. To make it really midwit simple, you're only going to be as tall as the script of your biospirit, specifically your genetics, states that you will be. But you can be retarded and prevented from reaching that height, can't you? However, your natural potential can be limited by external forces. These external forces, specifically MPs and our anti-white environment, undermine your natural ability to manifest, attain, and satisfy your desires. I want you to think for a moment of that sentence. Think about that sentence for a moment. Everything that you've ever wanted, everything that you've ever achieved or wanted to achieve, everything that you wanted to do has been undermined by anti-whiteism. And here we're only talking about the anti-whiteism in your own head. We're not even talking about the anti-whiteism at the hiring agency or the HR department that decides you don't get the job because you're white. So we're talking about MPs undermine your natural ability to manifest, attain, and satisfy your desires. How creative could you have been? How intelligent? How much of your intelligence is bogged down and, literally by the dictionary definition, the medical definition, retarded by anti-whiteism? How much better of a musician, or could you have been a musician? The consequences of MP infection is white noir. The physical, mental, and spiritual illness we refer to as white noir. The illness that white people experience as a consequence of the anti-whiteism that we are infected with and anti-whiteism and its influence in our world. The consequence, can you imagine? Here I'm wanting to talk about that at the lectern, at these different conferences, and they're like, no, we want to hear more about the Rothschilds. I want to hear for the 873rd time about the Rothschilds. I really want to look at the bell curve of Black academics. Let's see where they fall. Let's not hear about this. That's going to improve the lives of white people. Let's hear more about that. The consequence of MP infection is white noir. We suffer white noir as individuals and as a people. White noir is the sum, and I got to point out right now, there is a thing called white noir. Let me rephrase. There's the nomenclature, white noir, because there is an observable reality. So I observed the reality in my brothers and sisters in the world, and I tested, and I queried others, and we talked about, and we reviewed, and we ruminated, and then made predictions, and the predictions worked. We could see exactly how it functioned. And so then I said, it needs a name. I didn't come up with a name and then say, we'll give it some definition. Do you follow me? So many in the midwit range, and then including the academics who get so jealous of us. They think that, he just neoterized, i.e. coined, a bunch of terms. Anybody can do that. Anybody can do that. White noir is the sum of the spiritual, psychological, and physiological abnormalities that undermine your PTP. In essence, and you all have heard me use this, I've referenced this several times over the years, this metaphor. You are an eagle who has had its wings fettered to its side since hatching. You have been made to trudge through the dust with flightless birds, and you haven't the slightest notion that you could soar amid the heavens. But going free breaks your fetters. Your white noir is in the muscles and joints of your wings, weak and frail from disuse. It is also in your mind, the mental barriers that prevent you from realizing your destiny in the heights. Medical science and common sense tell us that destructive beliefs and attitudes, every MP is a destructive belief for white people, that destructive beliefs and attitudes retard and undermine a person's health, abilities, drive, and resiliency. Such people are at a marked disadvantage in every endeavor. Let's think back to the story of Buddy Smith. And that's a story I tell at the beginning of Go Free. Buddy was infected with the anti-Smith MPs. He saw himself as dumb, and his choices and life skills reflected this. But he didn't know that so much of his potential was undermined by his Smith noir. Likewise, Westmen who are not aware of their white noir are oblivious to these abnormalities, limiting their PTP and undermining their health. To make matters worse, we live our lives in environments that are increasingly uncomfortable, alien, and hostile to us. Recall our discussion of the biospirit. In simplified terms, a people's biospirit can be thought of as their distinct biological instincts. Each people project their instincts onto their environment. The sum of the projections is the people's culture. The cultural reflection of a person's instinctual projection induces feelings of peace, stability, permanence, harmony. When people feel those things, they produce what? A lot of things. Creative works. They are productive on the job, and they produce a lot of children. When they don't feel those things, the opposite ensues. The cultural reflection of a people's instinctual projection induces feelings of peace, stability, permanence, harmony. The opposite is true for a person in an environment that does not reflect their biospirit. The more we are white guilted into altering our communities to suit the biospiritual instincts of non-white people, the less our communities reflect our own biospiritual nature. The less our communities reflect our biospirit, the more unfamiliar, unstable, and uncomfortable these communities feel, exacerbating our white noir. Oblivious to the white noir limiting your PTP and undermining your health, you are habituated and resigned to humiliation, mediocrity, failure, and disappointment in all areas of life. Problem solving, coping skills, interpersonal interaction, education, work, romance, parenting, etc. I want you to think about that. How many times have you thought about yourself? You were upset with yourself because you gave up too easy, or you think you gave up too easily, or you couldn't find it within you to get the right answer, or to unravel the problem, whatever it might be that you were facing, the challenge. How many times have you looked at other members of our people, brothers and sisters, and you wondered what was wrong with them? Why are they habituated and resigned to humiliation? Why is it you can be in a room full of people, room full of white guys, and they can be told about how pathetic they are, and they just accept the mediocrity. They just accept the disappointment. It's not only external. If it were only an external force that we're doing, make no mistake, there is an external anti-white pressure. But if it were only an external pressure, you would have a lot more white guys saying, fuck this, right in the middle of whatever it is. But you don't. Why not? Because their PTP has been undermined. Because they're suffering from white noir. They're limiting themselves as a consequence of the ideas that are in their heads. And so we can say with complete assurance that if you immerse yourself in Go Free and doing the exercises, developing the counter triggers for those mean pathogens that are locked in our subconscious mind forever, they don't go anywhere. They need a counter trigger to be silenced, a mean curative to silence them when they are triggered, when they are activated by our own thoughts or the thoughts of those around us. If you do this, you go free, you engage in the practice itself, then we can assert with absolute confidence that you will improve your health, your memory, unleash your intelligence, stimulate your creativity, develop your relationships, magnify your productivity, elevate your mood, become more powerful, take charge of your life, attain mental and emotional equilibrium. And then on a global scale, we can absolutely assert that we can reclaim our destiny, that we can restore the tranquility, order, and safety to Western civilization by restoring the physical, mental, and spiritual harmony of Western kind. I'd walk on water, but this is as good as it's going to get. It's going to have to do. God bless you all for participating. God bless you all for going free, staying on track. Nathan Lentini this week, just the other day, stepping up, staying on point with the practice, demonstrating for everybody to see yet another one of our champions demonstrating in the real world that it works exactly the way that I say it does. Cool Papa J Magic says, the constant self-reflection and even deprecation that white people do can be damaging, but also has benefits. How much do you think is from anti-whiteism versus our contemplative nature? Well, I would say, our biospiritual contemplative nature is the drive of that. But then what ends up being the substance is anti-whiteism as a consequence of mean pathogenic infection. So that's why we are contemplating anti-whiteism. If we didn't have anti-whiteism, we would be contemplating the stars. We would be contemplating the unknown. We would be contemplating our own personal challenges. We would be contemplating writing the next greatest novel, the next symphony, the next popular culture, whatever it is, contributing to our society, making it better for everyone involved. But thank you for that, Cool Papa J Magic. Great question. And yeah, you can ask it in the thread again if you want to clarify or you need some more. Hey, the Great Sloths is here. Good to see you, brother. And Jason is here. Great to see you. Love the name. Sloth says, if I hate another group, I can't be infected with a mindset by an enemy. Says the Whitnig attacking anyone disagreeing with them individually. Exactly. Except that they are fully infected. That's the hubris. And that's how psychological warfare operates, is the hubris of the conscious mind, which is really just a fly on the ass of a blue whale. How does it get there? I don't know. Maybe it's a shrimp on the ass of a blue whale. The conscious mind to the subconscious mind, no comparison. But it's the hubris of the conscious mind that the psychological warfare manipulates and uses, in this case, when it comes to anti-whites, to the ends of anti-whiteism. Looking for any other tags? The Great Sloths is in the house. Kevin Bacon says, best show in town. Thank you, my brother. Church of the West, the only place you'll find it. All right, let me make sure I didn't miss anything over here. Elon Musk, one of these days. Who knows? One of these days. Maybe I'll be walking down the street and a couple of guys will walk up and they'll say, Elon Musk is in the limousine. He would like to talk with you, and I will agree. All right. I don't think I missed anybody over there. I'm guessing, did I stay functioning on one stream on X the whole time? Was it only on YouTube? Janitor of White Noir is here. Says, I just saw the must repost. I am happy. We are all happy. Totally exciting. We had a rough ride on today's gathering as we get ready to wrap it up. And I think that's all we had here today. Keep an eye out for the tweet or the post. Otherwise, it would be on X and other places as well for this role reversal. And so you can hear what it would sound like if Jason came rolling in there as an anti-white. It would be ugly. Helio says, PTP maxing by always thinking and doing white well-being. Yes, I like that. I like the way you phrase that. Firelight is here. Good to see you. Exactly. PTP maxing by always thinking and doing white well-being. Think about all the self-help garbage books and videos, and maybe you've gone to their conferences, and how all they did was repackage Aesop's fables and other axioms of the white race that were freely passed from parents to children. They repackage it. They put some neon lights around it. They tell you that some guru has thought it up, and then he appears on a stage or in the pages of a book. You get done reading it, and then you feel kind of excited at first, but then it doesn't go anywhere because you haven't addressed the problem. You haven't addressed it as a white person. You're infected. And there is no amount of Aesop fables that are going to inspire other peoples of man to suddenly be Western, to suddenly be us. Doesn't work that way. Thank you for informing us your response to Elon if the moment presented itself. Yeah, if Elon wants to talk, I'm all ears. Whatever strategy he would like to share, maybe about getting Go Free to as many people as possible. I'm guessing it'll have to be subtle. I'm guessing it won't be him like holding Go Free up on a stage over his head. I'm guessing it would have to be subtle to protect him and his holdings, his many holdings and wealth. But I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. Let's just put an end to our victimization. Let's stop these god-awful scenarios of white children coming home and crying and saying that they don't want to be white. They don't want to be they don't want to be the people who are evil. They want to be the people who are good. Children are able to put this together because that's anti-whiteism. That's how it works. It goes right to the heart and soul of our essence and our being. It's going to be up to us or nobody's going to do it. I want to make a parody of Dr. Seuss. Star stomach. But when the ones with the no stars are excluded, they just build a better civilization. And don't let the star belly in, says Henry. It's pretty cool. Gladiator said, just don't go out for cocktails or parties. I'm not much of a cocktail and party kind of a person, but I'm very happy to have audience that will work to the benefit of my people. Let's continue 2026 in this glorious fashion, rocking and rolling, and nothing can stop us. Not numerous brownouts, nothing can stop. Not all the shadow banning that's taking place on the internet, not the shadow banning prior to the internet on me directly by people who were supposed to be my friends and supposedly with the same goal of arresting our victimization and recapturing our destiny. Let's continue rocking and rolling. We got the man himself rocking it out, retweeting Elon Musk, Will Tanner. You got Lentini demonstrating again in person how even in a hostile environment, how successful Go Free is. Imagine how successful it'll be at the dinner table or at the luncheon for work when it doesn't have to be so virulent. It's all up to us. We have the tools. We have the keys. that opens the door to white well-being. It's time to slip that key into the lock, give it a little twist, and recapture our destiny. Let's do that. Let's go free.